19-year-old student Tressa Ani and her boyfriend, 21-year-old mechanic Devin Whiteman, are suing Tressa's sister, 20-year-old Teresa Ani, for vandalizing Devin's car.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please. All rise. Your Honor, this is case number 213 on the calendar in the matter of Ani versus Weidman Ani.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Have seats, folks.
What is your first name?
Tressa Ani.
Tressa?
Mm-hmm.
Tressa, this is your sister.
Yes, it is.
What's your first name?
Teresa.
Teresa. Tressa and Teresa. I thought I would make this simple. It's not. That didn't make it any simpler for me. You're the boyfriend?
Mm-hmm.
And you're here because this was your car.
Yes.
Was a car in both your names or in just your name?
Just mine.
It is your claim that your sister vandalized your car.
Yes, sir.
Sister said she didn't do it. You didn't see her vandalize your car.
No, I did not.
When was your car vandalized and how?
On July 10th in the morning, I received a call from the Hennepin County Sheriff's letting me know she was being released from jail for something.
No. What I asked you was, when was your car vandalized?
July 10th, 2002.
Okay. When did you last see it when it was in good condition?
The night before when we drove home and parked it in our parking lot.
And when you went to get it on July 10th, you found it damaged?
Yes.
What time did you find it damaged?
About 8 o'clock in the morning.
And what time had you parked it the evening before?
Around 10.
Now, what makes you think that your sister did that to your car?
For starters,
By the way, it was keyed, according to your complaint.
It was something. Rocks, keys. We had estimates, so the guy who did the
You have
estimate.
pictures of it?
Yes, I do.
Let me take a look.
The man who did the estimate for us told us it could have been a number of...
Can't tell me what he told you. I'll take a look at it. What was cracked off?
Part of the rim. It was struck by a blunt object, probably a hammer.
This is sort of unusual keying.
There's chunks missing out of the side of the door.
Okay. I've seen your photographs. Now tell me what makes you think that your sister did any of this damage.
I can't really go into it too far, but she had been arrested for assaulting me on July 5th. She was arrested and spent 5 days in jail. And when she was arrested, she was threatening. She was throwing rocks at us at that time.
Where was she arrested?
At my mother's house. I had taken my little sister on the 4th of July to Valley Fair, and I was returning her on the day after. And this is when all this occurred. She threatened myself. She threatened my 18-month-old daughter. She said she was going to drown my child in my mom's pool, to take my little white rat-faced child the hell out of there.
Okay. But then she assaulted you.
Yeah, she grabbed a knife, said she was going to gut me like a fish because I'm pregnant.
Did she, in fact, cut you?
No, she did not.
But she threatened
Yes.
to cut you. She spent 5 days in jail?
Yes.
Is that right?
That's correct.
Are those charges still pending?
Yes, they are.
So I'm not going to go into that at all. Were you subsequently released on bail?
No, I was released on, there's like a temporary release or whatever. I'm on probation.
Okay.
Just until we go to trial.
Go ahead.
I had also previously spoken to Child Protection, which she found out about because of the way she treats her 2-year-old daughter, that she probably wanted to retaliate.
So what you're telling me is she had a motive.
Yes.
For damaging your car.
She also threatened to, and so did my mother.
Your mother too?
Yes, we had our phone disconnected and our number changed.
So not only did your sister threaten to damage your car according to you, but your mother threatened to damage your car?
Yes.
So 2 people threatened to damage your car?
Yes. My mom, her exact words were, something's going to happen. I disown you, you little... Don't come back here.
Okay. What evidence do you have?
She has admitted it.
To whom?
To... in courtroom, which I cannot get the transcripts till her criminal stuff is done. Right outside the courtroom, I was standing there with the district attorney and some other people that were standing
Did you
there.
hear her admit it?
Yes.
Did you, personally?
Yes, I did.
Well, tell me when that was and what you heard.
We had gone, because I had originally filed a restraining order, and they were trying to fight it, and I had brought with me the estimates of the car, and I was talking to the prosecutor, and before we went up to the judge, she was like, so what if I damaged her effing car? She made me spend 5 days in jail, and I didn't hear what she said after that.
Okay. Any other evidence that she damaged
She's
your car?
admitted it to our witness, Johnny Gurley. That's Devin's brother-in-law.
Tell me your name, sir.
My name is Johnny Leroy Gurley.
How do you know these parties?
Well, actually, this is my stepbrother here, and that's his girlfriend, Tressa.
Tressa says that you overheard the defendant acknowledge that she vandalized the plaintiff's car.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yes, I did.
When and where?
This was September 6th out in Mound, because I work at the Mound post office. I was happening to take out the trash, and I seen her, and I asked her if I could ask her a question. She said, yeah, so I asked her the question to where I heard...
What question did you ask her?
The question was, I heard that you had tore up Devin and Tressa's car. And her response was, yeah, I tore it up, and if I see it again, I'll tear it up again. And if I see the truck, I'll tear the truck up too.
Had you known her previously, the defendant?
Yeah.
Had you ever had any difficulty with her?
Nope.
After she answered you in that fashion, did you say anything else to her?
No, the only thing I said to her was that you need to stop all that violence.
And what did she say?
I couldn't really hear what she was saying because she was running off to catch the bus. Because she was waiting at the bus stop to go to work.
Okay. Thank you. I will start out by, for the purpose of this hearing, assuming that you're going to tell me you did not do any damage to the car, right?
Right.
What time were you released from jail on either the 9th or the 10th of July?
On the 9th of July, I was released at 8 o'clock at night.
Had you seen a judge that day?
Yeah, I seen it. I had a court to be released at 1:30 in the afternoon, and I was in a holding cell to be released until 8.
Do you know why you were being held from 1:30 to 8 p.m.?
Just to be released. They said it took that long for the release papers to come through.
Had you ever been incarcerated before?
Yes.
Immediately prior to this
No.
time? Yes, listen. You didn't listen to my question, so you don't know what the question is. Immediately before this arrest, when was the last time you were arrested?
Last year.
For what?
I was accused of threatening my brother.
Your brother?
Well, my mom and I had a domestic over my boyfriend, the guy I was dating, and I had his 12-year-old daughter staying in the house, also along with my 2-year-old daughter, and we got domestic over him. She didn't want me to see him and this and that, and so I told her I was going to leave, and she said, well, you ain't leaving with the 2 kids. So, well, I was like, well, call the police then, and I guess she made up a lie or whatever, and said I had threatened my brother, so I just got my kids and left, the 12-year-old and my 2-year-old.
So you were arrested for an attempted assault?
Right, which they dismissed the case because it wasn't true.
She threatened him with a butcher knife.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I love my family dearly, but I cannot be arrested for things I did not do. This whole thing has just been ridiculous.
Well, something is definitely out of whack in this family, and I'm not a therapist. I'm just a little old judge who's trying to find the truth.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 19-year-old Tressa Ani says her sister, 20-year-old Teresa Ani, vandalized her boyfriend's car. Tressa says it was retaliation for throwing her in jail.
Was that case resolved with the issuance of a protective order of protection?
No.
Or a restraining order, a stay-away order with regard to your brother?
Nope.
It was just dismissed?
Right.
When was the time that you were arrested immediately prior to that arrest?
I've never been arrested before that.
Okay. So you were released from jail at 8 o'clock in the evening. Was somebody waiting for you?
No, I went to the HCMC, which is the hospital downtown Minneapolis, to use the phone.
Yes.
Okay, and I waited there with one of the guys I was released with for about an hour and a half before my stepdad could come get me because I had to get a hold of somebody in town because we didn't have a phone. So he came and got me. It must have been around maybe 9:45. I got home an hour and a half later because we stopped and got gas and ate and stuff, and then we went to the house, which we live in Mound from Minneapolis, it's west. And when I got home, I just stayed home. I didn't go nowhere. You know, I visited, well, my sister's 3 kids was there, and I just visited them and then went to bed.
So your stepfather came to pick you up. You went out for a bite to eat with him, and then you went home. Now, does your stepfather live with your mother?
Yes.
So from the time you were released from jail until the next day, I assume, you were in the company of your stepfather.
Right.
Where is he today?
He's at work.
Well, what'd you bring this is your mother?
Because my mother, they was downtown since I went to court. They were waiting for me to be released. They waited for 4 hours for me to be released because they said I'd be released.
No, your mother wasn't with you from the time you were released.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that when I got home, my mom was there waiting for me.
But your mother wasn't there
Right.
to pick you up, take you home. So if you had to bring a witness, Why wouldn't you bring the witness who was with you from the time that you were actually at the area where you were released until the next morning?
Because Shakopee, where she lives at, is nowhere near Minneapolis, neither is Mound. So how am I supposed to get from Minneapolis to Shakopee with no money, without being able to take
Maybe your
money for the bus?
stepfather drove you there.
Why would my father do that? So I can go back to jail?
Maybe he was angry.
He ain't
What
angry.
do I know? He's not here. How would I know? I mean, it just seems sort of foolish. I'm just telling you for the future. If you have a witness who can solidify a defense, and you choose to bring another witness to court who can't, that looks stupid. Do you understand?
Yep.
I mean, you have stepfather and you have a mother. One can say, she was with me all the time, we didn't go near their house. That person you leave home. The person who says, well, she did come home that night at some point, but I wasn't with her all the time, that person you bring to court. It doesn't sound smart, right? All right. Anything else you want to tell me?
Yes, since this has all happened, I have basically had my life turned upside down. I have been arrested for her warrant. She used my name. It says I'm blonde, I weigh 135 pounds, and I'm 5'6", and I had light green
I don't know what
eyes.
you're talking about.
About a month after this happened, I was arrested for I live in Scott County, for a warrant in Hennepin County, when I've never lived in Hennepin County in my whole life. She does, and the address on the warrant was my mother's. It was her social security number, but my name.
What were you arrested for?
Supposedly a disorderly conduct. 2 weeks after that, I got a notice from the Minnesota Department of Transportation saying my driving privileges are being suspended. I got pulled over in Brooklyn Park, Minnesota. That's where her boyfriend lives. I was driving a car with no insurance. Both of our cars are fully insured. And I ran a stop sign or something telling me I had a $150 fine or something, and if I didn't pay it, my driving privileges would be suspended. So the district attorney's looking into it, talking to the Brooklyn Park Police to see if he could identify who was actually pulled over. I mean, I love my family dearly, but I cannot have things damaged. I cannot be arrested for things I did not do. I cannot have my driving privileges suspended. This is just ridiculous. This whole thing has just been ridiculous.
Well, something is definitely out of whack in this family, and I'm not a therapist. I'm just a little old judge who's trying to find the truth. So let me see your estimates. And let's talk about truth with regard to these estimates. How old is this car?
It's a 2001 Pontiac Trans Am.
Your Honor, may I speak for a minute? I do not have any warrants against me.
No,
use
she
my
says,
name.
what she says
Where's the
is,
paper?
I'm speaking. What she says is that you don't have any warrants against you, that somehow she had the warrants against her, but the description of the person on the warrant was you, or somebody who looked like you, only using her name and social security number. Doesn't your car have any sort of insurance?
It's a $500 deductible.
So really what your out-of-pocket is going to be when you have it fixed is $500.
Yes.
I find that based upon his testimony, the fact that the defendant had certainly a motive to cause some damage to your car, that she had an opportunity to do it, that she made a statement to this gentleman that she in fact did it, that she did it. But your insurance is going to cover it, but for the first $500 on a new car, if you have a $500 deductible. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $500. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
My brother did that damage with her boyfriend, which was drunk.
That's ridiculous, and if I have to go to criminal court, I will.
He said he was doing a 360 and hit a curb. That's why her wheels messed up.
She admitted to my brother, to him, to everybody, to myself in the courtroom, in front of everybody, that she did it and that she was going to do it again.
It's lies.
Jealousy, I don't know what it is.
So, in other words, I'm just screwed.
I just can't believe my family is disgusting like that.
Delivery driver Heidi Eckert and her estranged husband, phlebotomist Salvatore Procopio, are suing their former housemate, construction worker Michael Marcus, for unpaid rent, unauthorized use of an ATM card, and an assault.
Order. All rise. The answer is case number 155 on the calendar in the matter of Eckert Procopio versus Marcus. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
You are Miss Eckert?
Yes.
Miss Eckert, it is your claim that the defendant owes you for some rent, some other bills from taking money out of your ATM account, and Mr. Procopio?
That's correct.
It's your claim that Mr. Marcus assaulted you. You want to be compensated. Tell me, How do you know him, Miss Eckert, and when you moved in together, and what was the rent arrangement?
I met him last July, and we just became friends, and he had a 5-year-old son, and I had a 6-year-old son, and he was living in a 2-bedroom apartment, and I was living in a 3-bedroom house, and we both couldn't afford the places that we lived in, so we decided we move in together, just as roommates, and he can take care of my son while I go to work, just take him to school in the morning, and then the rent would be $300, and if he doesn't do that, then the rent would be $400.
How much was the total rent?
$850.
And how many people were living in the house?
It was just me and my son at the time.
When did he move in?
In the middle of September.
No, that's not true.
I'll get you in a minute. When was he supposed to start to pay rent? In October?
Yeah.
Did he pay October's rent?
No.
When did he move out?
Middle of May.
No, that's not true either.
From October until May, did he pay rent?
No.
Never.
No.
So why did you let him stay?
Because he always said he's getting a job. Every month I asked him, are you going to come up with some money? He was supposed to get food stamps too, you know, from the welfare. And every month he came up with a new story. One time he said he's going to sell his motorcycle, and he, you know, I didn't want him to do that. And then he had a job at one time.
Yeah.
For a day, and then he lost that job.
Not true.
Do you think I'm going to give you a chance, sir?
Yeah, I'm sure you will.
Then I want you to try to contain yourself. So he didn't pay you any money from October until May?
Nope.
So let's deal with the rent first. Now, Mr. Marcus, look who's having a turn. When did you move in according to your calendar, sir?
It was the middle of October.
Okay.
Actually, almost towards the end of October, when I come back from Mexico.
So according to you, you should have started to pay rent.
First of November.
Thank you for anticipating. Did you pay rent?
No, not at the first. No, I didn't.
Why not?
Well, because I didn't have the money at that time.
What were you doing in Mexico?
I was helping a friend move his family down there.
Explain that to me.
It was just another friend of mine who needed assistance driving his family to Mexico. He asked me to help him.
You're making me very nervous, sir. Could you speak without moving so much?
Well, he asked me to help him move his family to Mexico. I did so. I was down there for a month.
So you weren't working at the time?
No.
And you were free?
I was taking care of my son. He was under medical conditions, so...
What kind of medical condition?
He was mauled by dogs, so he needed intensive care 24/7.
How old is he?
He is now 6. At the time, he was 5.
So you took your son, who needed full-time medical care, down to Mexico
No,
for a
I didn't.
month.
I left him with his grandmother.
The name of the friend who you helped move to Mexico?
Mario.
Mario.
Yeah, Mario.
Mario.
That's all I know.
Mr. Marcus, you see anything written here, sir?
No, ma'am.
Dumb, stupid.
No, I'm not saying that.
Do you think that I think that you were going down to move somebody whose name you don't even know, and you stayed with them for a month and you don't know their last name?
No, I don't. Actually, I couldn't even pronounce it if I did.
All right, Mr. Marcus. So November you didn't pay any rent. What about December?
Yes, I did give her some money. I did give her some cash.
Good. How much did you give her, sir?
I believe it was $150.
And in January?
I think it was another $100, $150.
February?
Not believe February, no.
March?
No, that's when we started getting eviction notices, so she didn't pay either. It was pretty much everybody disbanded the house, and off we went.
April?
No, nobody was there in April.
When did you move out?
March.
So according to you, sir, for the entire time you were there, you gave her a total of $250.
Well...
That's what you just told me?
Well, partial, yes.
That's what you just told me?
Yes, I understand that. Partial.
That's what you just told me?
That's cash, yes. I bought all the food for the house.
Food?
Yes, food. Well, she then proceeded to move Sal in.
I'm not there yet. Miss Eckert,
okay.
I want you to tell me about this ATM card. I've read your papers, and I don't think that you can prove it to me, but I'll listen to you anyway, because I'm always trying to be fair.
Well, I got my paycheck and I deposited, and my bank account was way overdrawn. And I was like, there's something wrong. So I got a statement from the bank, a printout, and I noticed that there was some stuff on there that was charged on my debit card that wasn't made by me. And there was a 1-800 number next to it. So I called it, and I got to find out it was a...
She gave me the credit card.
Oh. Go.
It was a porn website.
That's not what it was.
Yes.
That's what the guy said on the phone.
That's not what it was.
Okay. What makes you think it was Mr. Marcus who used your debit card?
Because the guy on the phone asked me what my email address is, and I said I don't have an email address. He asked me if I got a computer in my house,
That's
and
not
I
true.
said
She did.
I want you to be quiet until I look in your direction.
And he asked me if I know somebody by the name of Michael Marcus, and I said yes, that's my roommate. And he said that's the person who got the charge that on my debit.
And what was the charge?
You want to take a look at this?
Sure.
And because of that, my bank account got totally overdrawn, so I got all those overdraft charges on there too.
Just tell me how much it was.
But all combined with the overdraft charges, about
Forget the
$200.
overdraft charges. Just what you allege he charged.
About $100.
Now we're ready to go to you, sir. Now I want you to tell me about this assault. When did it take place?
12th of April.
Do you have a police report?
No, I did not call the police. I was going to pretty much let the whole issue go until my wife and him were going to go to court.
Yeah.
Mr. Marcus, do you think you're helping yourself, sir?
No, ma'am. I just want the truth.
Well, then wait your turn, and I'll hear. How are you related to him?
Can I speak?
No! I asked you a question. I said, how are you related to him?
I'm a witness.
How are you related to him?
We have a child together.
My condolences.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Your actions today being a wise guy and a smart mouth,
But I'm not.
but you are.
But you haven't even heard my side of this whole assault thing.
But you're not paying attention to me.
I am
You're
paying
as
attention.
dumb and as thick as this wood.
And later today,
He calls me and said he's in jail to bail him out of jail.
That's not true, Your Honor.
I said,
Mr. Reyes,
not
Mr.
true.
Reyes, could you wait until I look at you and ask you questions, please? Oh, look at me. Could you do that?
Yes, ma'am.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy, Heidi Eckert, and her estranged husband, Salvatore Procopio, are suing former housemate Michael Marcus for unpaid rent. Salvatore claims soon after filing the case, Michael beat him up.
Now, 12th of April.
Correct. After the eviction notice came, we were supposed to be out the first of the month. Heidi,
First of what?
April, I believe.
First of April.
Yeah.
Why were you being evicted?
Due to unpaid rent.
When was the last time you paid rent?
I never paid any rent.
Yeah.
When was the last time you paid rent?
My last in February.
In February.
As far as the credit card is concerned,
Let's talking about the credit card.
oh, well, it was handed to me. She knew
Yeah,
all about it.
I'm not talking about the credit card now.
Well, we need to address it.
If I need to address it, I'll address it. Now, get back to the date of the assault.
Mr. Marcus came into the kitchen first thing in the morning and was upset about the whole lawsuit. Heidi had already, processed a claim to sue him in small claims. He was adamant that I was the one that put her up to it. And
When did you move into the house, sir?
Middle of November. I
November.
mean, probably within the first 30 days of Mr. Marcus moving in.
So you moved in after Mr. Marcus moved
Well, I lived there prior. I moved out.
You
moved back
moved in after Mr.
Yes.
Marcus moved in?
Yes.
After her arrangement with Mr. Marcus?
Correct.
Did you pay rent?
No.
Why not?
I was unemployed at the time.
That's not his problem.
Yeah, I stayed in the room with my estranged wife. I slept on a couch sometimes.
At any time, did either you or Miss Eckert receive public assistance?
No.
Not me.
What about you?
No.
So how are you supporting yourself, Mr. Procopio?
Me and everybody else was supporting him.
With the help of friends.
Was I looking at you?
Well,
Was I looking at you?
That's who was supporting him. Everybody else in the house.
You know, right now he's preparing to tell me about the fact that you punched him while sitting in the kitchen.
No, he
A fact
he was standing.
that you acknowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Your defense to that, sir, is that you were afraid that he was going to assault you with a knife he was holding.
Yes.
Your actions today in dealing with me suggest that you're so dumb that you don't recognize that if you maintain a different kind of demeanor, I might believe the fact that you were in fear of your life and therefore responded by assaulting him, by punching him.
Well, if you hear my story, I'll tell you.
However, your actions today, being a wise guy and a smart mouth,
But I'm not.
but you are,
But you haven't even heard my side of this whole assault thing.
But you're not paying attention to me.
I am
You're
paying
as
attention.
dumb and as thick as this wood.
well.
Because if you listened to me, you would understand that if you were quiet and respectful of where you are,
Then I get
and
shut out.
understand where you are, you see how we're addressing each other, and you see how quiet they are? Because at this point, I'm looking in your direction. You have no self-control. You can't control yourself.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy, Heidi Eckert, and her estranged husband, Salvatore Procopio, are suing former housemate Michael Marcus for unpaid rent. Salvatore claims soon after filing the case, Michael beat him up.
Tell me about the assault, sir. You were in the kitchen. He came in. He was angry because you filed the small claims case. And he did what to you?
He smacked me upside my face.
How did he do that? With an open hand or a closed hand?
It was closed hand and an open hand. There was
Okay.
two of them, in which I got out of the house.
Okay.
And I left.
And
I wasn't, you know, I wasn't.
My mouth is moving.
Excuse me.
When he hit you, did you have any injury?
I had a cut on the inside of my mouth.
Okay, so you had no serious injury.
No, not at all.
And you did not respond in kind by hitting him back
No.
because. Okay. Did you, in fact, have a knife in your hand?
I was doing the dishes. At the time, we weren't sitting in the kitchen. I was standing at
You
the
were
sink.
standing. And Mr. Marcus, at no time did he hit you, is that right?
No, he did not.
Stop! And you walked into the kitchen, is that correct?
Yes, I did.
The fact that Mr. Procopio was not seriously injured, or was not really injured at all, does not mean that you get a free whack. So that slap upside his head and little cut on the inside is going to cost you $500, Mr. Marcus. So far, I am eliminating these charges from here because everything that you told me, Miss Eckert, with regard to the person that you called at your ATM card, is hearsay. However, I am persuaded that Mr. Marcus owes you for rent. So, judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,000. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She's fine. I mean, we always got along. I'm kind of bummed that it came to this.
He owes me money. And at this time, I'm not going to let it go.
He doesn't deserve a dime.
I wish everybody well. I wish it didn't all have to come to this.
I have no hard feelings against Heidi. As far as he's concerned, he's a chump.
Cosmetologist Noelle Eskridge is suing her ex-boyfriend, janitor Jackie Curl, for several unpaid loans and for damages from an assault. Jackie is countersuing for mental anguish and harassment.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 45 on the calendar in the matter of Eskridge versus Curl. Parties are sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks have seats.
Miss Eskridge, you claim two things in your lawsuit. First, you claim a couple of small loans to the defendant to help him out with rent and stuff. And you were his girlfriend, according to you. And then you say that at a party, he became enraged about something, threw something at you, and cracked your head open. Mm-hmm. Your head had to be stapled together. You want him to pay for your medical bills, your pain and suffering. Mr. Curl says he has the clue as to what you're talking about. How do you know him?
In November, my neighbor called me, and she told me that him and his girlfriend have an apartment underneath me, that his girlfriend had kicked him and his 4-year-old out at 4 o'clock in the morning, and could I help? I had previously helped her, 3 other people, referring them to the manager. She's my friend, to get apartments, so she knew that I would help. He was staying at my friend's house. I gave her like $60 for rent for him and his baby to stay.
For him?
Mm-hmm, and his little girl to stay.
Okay.
But anyway, after that, in December, he got an apartment in our building. I went to the manager and begged for this apartment.
Okay, and what other money did you give him?
$65 for food one time, $100. He broke out his girlfriend's windows in her apartment on New Year's Eve because she was in the house with one of his friends, and he busted out all the windows, and they were going to evict him. So he asked me, could I help again? Because he was going through a custody thing with this baby, and me and her just hit it off right away, this little girl. I said, yeah. I gave him $100.
Did he ever say anything about repaying this money to you?
Yes, ma'am. He told me as soon as he got through with the custody stuff, on which would be the 16th of May, with his daughter, he would start paying me back this money.
Now tell me what happened with the assault, Miss Eskridge.
He was having a get-together, and I thought it was kind of rude since I helped him out that he didn't invite me. I went to the balcony.
Were you dating him at the time?
Yes, he started wanting me to date him as I was helping him.
Well, did you date him?
Yes, I did. Yes.
For how long?
Up until
how many weeks did you date him?
About 8.
8 weeks. Okay. So you dated him for 8 weeks, and then he had a party and he didn't invite you.
Mm-hmm.
So you went to the balcony of your apartment or his apartment?
His.
So you went to the party even though you weren't invited?
I went to the balcony. I didn't go inside. I didn't go inside. I just went to the balcony. He was standing out there just to talk to him.
And what happened?
I asked him something, and we started arguing. Next thing I know, looked down. He had something in his hand. But as soon as I saw it in his hand, I was hit and bleeding. That's how quick it was.
And what happened as a result of that injury?
I had to have my head stapled. They stapled my head together.
You have the medical records? Can
Yes,
I
ma'am.
see them, please? Did you file a police report?
No, because I was afraid that with the custody stuff, I didn't go to the hospital till the 15th. It happened around the 13th. I was scared. He wanted me to leave with him after he hit me. He was scared, I was scared. He wanted me to leave with him. He took me to his friend's house, and his wife looked at my head. I didn't know if the police was going to come and take his daughter away. I was so close to her, attached to her, I was scared. But after 2 days, I was in so much pain, I had to go to the hospital.
So you didn't go to the hospital for 2 days?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yes.
Miss Eskridge, can you tell me who these people are?
My son and my dad.
Were either one of them present when you were assaulted?
Yes, my son.
Okay, step up here. Tell me your name.
Jerome Messenberg.
Jerome, do you live with your mom?
Yes.
Who else lives there?
My sisters and my brothers.
I have 6 kids.
Do you know Mr. Curl?
Yes.
Have you ever seen him in your home?
No.
He's never been to your home as far as you know?
No.
Tell me what you saw on the day that your mother was injured.
I was outside with two of my brothers, and my mom was standing by the balcony. I don't know what she was doing, and then I seen something hit her in the head, but I thought nothing of it because the way it bounced off, and it looked like a rubber ball, like it could be a rubber ball or something soft, so the way it bounced off.
Did you see which direction it was thrown from?
It came from inside of his curtains, inside of his house.
Did you ever see what it was?
No.
You never saw what it was?
His nephew told me, other people in the building told me what he threw.
Well, you can't tell me what anybody else said.
I didn't see it. I just seen something in his hand, and I didn't know what it was.
All right, Mr. Curl, let me hear from you, sir. Tell me about this party that you had in your house.
I had like a little get-together, but no, she wasn't invited. Because for one reason, she wasn't my girlfriend, and my girlfriend stayed in the next apartment. And then, but she was a friend, and yes, me and my girlfriend, yeah, we had a little misunderstanding, but she done a little things for me, but I know it was a loan. She never told me it was a loan.
Did she give you any money, sir?
She gave me like a little change. Here you go.
No, I'm not talking about change. $60, $100?
No. She bought me like probably some like McDonald's for me and my daughter.
What about these windows that got broken out, sir? You want to tell me about that?
Yes, I will. Yes.
Look at me and tell me.
That was a case that happened, and they found out that it wasn't none of me. It was a friend of mine that did that to my fiance's windows, and that's
a friend of yours?
Yes, a friend of mine. It wasn't none of me that did that. And my fiance.
When did that happen?
In the month of December sometime.
The management company talked to you about maybe evicting you?
No, they just told me since a friend of mine's done it, I got to pay for the property. For the damages.
Right.
And which I done.
Who gave you the money?
My own money.
How would she know about that?
How would she know about that? Because she stayed right above us in the same complex.
She says that she was injured at a party in your house. That's when she came and she was not invited. What do you know about that, sir?
I don't know. I don't have no idea about that. I haven't seen it. She said she was on the back of my patio, and I did have some company back there, and they know how she do things. She comes around and disturb everybody.
How does she come around and disturb people?
By, cussing everybody out, putting things on my doors, windows, banging on my windows early in the morning.
Like what?
Like notes.
You have any of those notes?
Antiques, yes, I do.
I'd like to see them, please. Miss Eskridge, why do you put these notes on their door?
It may not be what I put. It doesn't look like.
Show them to her, please.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
They swing. He opened the door up and the man peeked his head up. The man had no clothes on.
And later today,
I kind of went on a high-speed pursuit for a couple of cities.
Was this the first time you were arrested, Kenneth?
Correct, it was.
No, Kenneth. Don't fib to Mother Nature.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Noelle Eskridge says ex-boyfriend Jackie Curl owes for several loans. Noelle says she received staples in her head from his assault.
I'd like you to tell me why you put those notes on the door.
Okay. After I loaned him some money and went to his door and knocked on his door, I want to look at it and make sure it was my writing. Because the way he's sitting here lying, I want to make sure it was my writing. I went to his house to ask him for some of my money. It was a man inside of his house, half naked. And he opened the door up and the man peeked his head up. The man had no clothes on. A friend of theirs, their wife, she told me to be very careful because they swing. And I was enraged because his girlfriend chased me with her girlfriends for 3 months down in a car. When I was helping his daughter in November through December for 2 months, I was chased with women and her. I couldn't figure out why she had women with her chasing me till people told me what they do. And I was enraged when I found out because I felt I wasn't given the choice, that I should have been told if you were these kind of people. I was enraged when I did that. I was just shocked when that man came to the door.
Miss Eskridge, do you take any medication?
No, I don't.
Currently under a doctor's care?
No.
In order to have a successful lawsuit, Miss Eskridge, you have to prove two things as far as a loan is concerned.
Mm-hmm.
You have to prove to the judge's satisfaction that there was, in fact, money turned over and that there was a contract that that money would be repaid. I don't find that here. The second thing is you claimed that Mr. Curl assaulted you. Mr. Curl says he did not assault you. I have to be satisfied before I'm satisfied that someone has caused such serious physical injury that there's sufficient proof. And I don't find that there is sufficient proof that Mr. Curl, either intentionally or otherwise, caused you the injury to your head. What I do find is that I think it's a good idea that you don't have any contact with them anymore. Not leave notes on his door, not leave notes on her door, because I don't think it's good for you.
No.
I think if what you tell me is true, then you made a mistake in judgment as to someone's character.
Mm-hmm.
And you extended yourself, and you should think twice about doing it again.
Right.
Do you understand? But right now, what I think you have to do is say, you made a mistake with him, he's really not a nice person, I don't want to have anything more to do with them, with either him or with his girlfriend. I've got children that I have to take care of that rely on me, and I don't want to waste any more of my energy on this man or his girlfriend. Does that make sense to you?
It makes a whole lot of sense, you know.
Good. I'm glad.
You know, he stalks me. You know, very badly. It's bad.
Well, then what you have to do is say, I made a mistake.
Yeah.
And I'm going to move on and not have anything to do with them because I have a greater responsibility, and my great responsibility is to my children. And I have to be mentally alert and healthy for my kids, and I don't want to take anything away with people who aren't nice. So don't have anything to do with them anymore. Okay?
All right.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I just think it was outrageous because he asked me to marry him last Wednesday.
I was dealing with a woman that's kind of, you know, maybe can be fatal.
He's crazy, and he needed to pay for what he did.
Wannabe girlfriends need not to be posting notes on other women's doors and panties, because they won't be so nice next time.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Brewer versus O'Reilly. Step forward, please.
Sales manager Bill Brewer is suing his ex-mother-in-law, retired postal worker Val O'Reilly, for an unpaid loan to visit her family. Val says the money was a gift so she could pay for her mother's funeral.
Mr. Brewer, how long were you married to the defendant's daughter?
Approximately 2 years, Your Honor.
Is this your former wife?
Yes, it is.
Do you have children together?
No, we did not.
And how long did you know her before you married her?
Approximately 2 years.
So you've known Miss O'Reilly for 4 years, or at the time of the divorce?
Yes.
And you claim a loan to her, a recent loan, in the amount of $1,500. Is that right?
Back in April of 2001, yes.
In what year were you divorced from her daughter?
We split up in March of 2000.
And you maintained a reasonable relationship with the defendant?
Yes. After we split up, we probably talked at least maybe once, twice a month. You know, we'd just chat to see how things were going. She cared about what was going on, and she honestly didn't like what her daughter was doing to me. So, yeah, I thought we had a civil friendship, and we chatted and emailed and stuff like that, yes.
Did you give her a check for this loan?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have the check?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it, please.
If I can add also, Your Honor, 2 weeks before I had loaned her the money, the defendant's daughter had called me and asked if I wanted to buy the ring back. And
buy what ring back?
The wedding ring. Because when we split up, I asked for it back anyways, and of course that wasn't the right thing to do.
Was your wife at that time living with her mother?
No, she wasn't.
Now tell me about this loan in April of 2001. What was it for?
Well, the defendant would like to go to Florida to see her sister, I think yearly. So she called me. Said, Bill, if at all possible, she wasn't threatening me, if at all possible, do you have some money I can borrow? I need to put some money down for my ticket and the hotel room and whatnot. At the time, I was, still trying to be a decent guy, had a little extra money in the bank, and I said, sure, no problem. She agreed to pay me back in August. I said, okay, I could do that for you, Val, because I thought we had somewhat of a decent relationship still.
And she never paid you back?
No, ma'am, no.
Okay. Now, Miss O'Reilly, in what month did your mother die?
My mother died in April of 2001, Your Honor.
When in April?
The 29th of April.
Okay. Now I'd like to hear what your defense is, because I find that interesting.
My mother was 93 years old, and she was in a nursing home, and she was dying. The first part of April, they didn't think that she would live very much longer.
She died April 29th, according to you.
Right, that's when she died. But she was dying.
She was sick.
Hospice was called in. And she wanted to, since she and Bill Brewer were friends and they were on a good rapport together, she liked Bill. We all did at one time. She asked hospice to call him and tell him goodbye for her, that she was dying. They didn't expect her to live.
Did that happen?
No, ma'am. They never called.
Just a second. Would you get to the $1,500, please?
Okay. They called him and told him she was dying. He called back and said he was sorry that she was, going to die.
Would you get to the...
I told him that she had bought her lot years ago, that her cremation was paid for, because he asked me how she was going to be buried. And I said she was going to be cremated. And I couldn't believe that, because even when she owned the lot, that it would cost $500 to open the grave to put her ashes in the grave. That amazed me. Then it would cost $200 more for an urn. It had to be bronze. I couldn't put her ashes in the box that came in from the crematorium. And the marker was $800. And I said that Graham, that's what we called her, Graham would just have to wait a while before I could do this. And he said, don't worry about it. He said, I'm making good money now. And he said, let this be my gift to you. It was a gift. Because he thought so much of my mother.
And you say that this conversation took place while your mother was still living?
She was dying, yes.
While she was still living,
yes.
You had this conversation with him?
Yes, yes, Your Honor.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Bill Brewer says ex-mother-in-law Val O'Reilly owes for a loan to visit her family. Val says the money was a gift.
All right. Now, what I find interesting about your position, Miss O'Reilly, is I want you to look at this document. Tell me if this is your signature. Is that your signature?
Yes, it is my signature.
Good. Can I see the document back, please? That is your sworn answer to his complaint. And I'm going to read to you what you wrote. In April of 2001, my 93-year-old mother passed away. The plaintiff had been very fond of my mother and called to give me his condolences shortly after she passed away. I told him that she would be cremated and mentioned I couldn't believe the cost of the urns, services, and burial. He was sympathetic and said he would give me the $1,500 towards the burial as a gift because he cared so much about my mother and wanted to do this for me. That's what you swore to. Do you understand that that's what you swore to?
Yes, Your Honor. May I say something, please?
No. That's what you swore to. And your mother died the 29th of April. This check was written to you on the 20th of April, 9 days before your mother died. You understand?
Yes, I do.
Your answer does not support this.
It was a stressful month. It was full of trauma. She was dying. She had hospice
This
call
is not
here.
a stressful month, madam. We are talking about some 13 or 14 months later. 13 or 14 months later, you wrote, he called to give me his condolences shortly after she passed away. You told me she died on the 29th of April. The check that he wrote to you was on the 20th of April, 9 days before she died.
Right. I had talked to him previously before then, before she died.
That's what you just told me now. That's not what you swore to in your answer. He has no responsibility to pay for your mother's burial.
No,
what
he
I
didn't.
want to
He
know is
offered it
what
as a
changed your
gift.
mind between the time that he gave you this $1,500 and the time that you were supposed to pay him back. Did something happen with your daughter? Were they separated and going through a divorce? Is there something negative that happened during that 6-month period? And I will ask you, Mr. Brewer, to tell me.
Well, I didn't think there was anything out of the ordinary. Yeah, we were separated. We were going through a divorce.
When were you ultimately divorced?
It wasn't until, I'd say, August of 2001. Yeah, right about the time that she was going to pay me back.
Did you both have lawyers in the divorce?
It was a simple divorce, so we just...
So there was no issue of property, no issue
no
of money?
No children, no property, no.
Is that right? You can stand up.
I'd like to shed a little light on this divorce situation and his behavior. It was anything but civil. The man professed his love for me one day and tried to choke me to death the next. He was very violent. He's a very unpredictable, erratic, temperamental person.
Your Honor, does this have any bearing in the...
Just a second.
I'm just stating the facts.
Your mother filed an answer that is totally inconsistent with the facts in this case. Her answer says he gave her this money after your grandmother died when he called to offer his condolences, and she said she was short for the burial. The check was written 9 days before your grandmother died, which is totally inconsistent with her testimony. As far as I'm concerned, he has absolutely no responsibility to pay for your grandmother's funeral.
Correct,
The dates are off, and if you were going through an acrimonious time with him, and if you say he is abusive, controlling, and threatening, I would question why you would permit, because you're an adult, you're over 21, clearly, why you would permit this violent, abusive man to whittle into your family business by paying for your grandmother's funeral.
I urged her not to take the money.
Good, then you should have said, I'll give you the money.
I urged her, but she had no idea the extent of his behavior.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500. That's all.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Wonderful guy. We all were fooled.
I called, I had left messages.
He's caused a lot of pain for our family.
I sent letters, she returned them.
I truly cannot believe that he would stoop this low.
Didn't respond to me, so I thought this was the only choice.
He traumatized her for months and months before she had him leave the house.
We had our moment.
And I didn't know about it until after the divorce. She didn't want me to worry.
Half the things that I did, yeah, I'll take blame for it, but you know what? She had her moments too.
He tried to choke me to death. He was vindictive, and he's trying to get at us again.
Not saying I was an angel.
I can't believe that he would go through these lengths.
I did it as a friend.
He's a liar.
If you can't afford to lose it, don't loan it.
Don't get married.
Radio dispatcher Susan Privet is suing the mother of her son's girlfriend, homemaker Allison Alley, for the cost to support her 16-year-old daughter.
Order. All rise. Now, this is case number 77 on the calendar in the matter of Privet versus Ali. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats.
Miss Ali, is this your daughter?
Yes, it is.
Is that your son?
Yes, ma'am.
Getting the picture. It's going to be a familiar picture. Miss Privet, according to your complaint, the defendant's daughter, this young lady, moved into your house with your permission.
Yes, ma'am.
And I gather that she had gotten into a teenage snit with her mother and left the house, came to your house. When was that?
Right after my birthday in September of 2001.
Does she still live there?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, am I correct in assuming that the way you know her is through your son?
Yes, ma'am. They're boyfriend and girlfriend.
How lovely. And how old is your son?
He's 20.
You want the defendant to pay support.
Yes, ma'am, I
For
do.
her 16-year-old daughter.
Yes, ma'am, I do.
And she's been there since September, so coming on to a year. What do you have to say about that?
I have to say about that first of all, my daughter has a home with me. Second of all, I do take care of my daughter financially. I take her to all her doctor appointments. I pay for anything the insurance doesn't. I pay for her birth control. I'm not sleeping with her. I pick her up if
Miss
she
Ali.
gets sick from school.
Miss Ali.
I'm not going to give her money for my minor
No,
daughter
let me
to
ask
stay
you,
away
you
from
didn't-
home.
You're not following my
Well, I
problem?
didn't understand you then. What do
Because you
mean?
didn't let
No.
me finish.
I'm sorry.
Do you have other children at home?
No, I don't.
Who else lives in your home?
Just me and my boyfriend.
Does your daughter get along with the boyfriend?
She never gave him a chance to get along with him.
So the answer is no, she doesn't get along with him.
Mm-hmm.
Does he work?
Oh, she's a nurse.
Has she always lived with you?
Yes, she has.
Ever been out of your care for 16 years?
Yes, she has for
When?
a short period of time.
When?
For 3 months in the year of 2000. I was in a drug program for 90 days.
So there was a time when you were not doing much parenting for her.
Exactly.
About how many years was it that you weren't doing parenting for her?
It wasn't years. It was
Well, if
3
you went
months.
No. You didn't go into a drug program because you didn't have a problem. You had a problem, which is why you went into the drug program. So how long was your problem? A year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years,
Oh,
5
I'm
years?
sorry. 2.5 years.
So for a period of at least, if you say 2.5 years, it was probably more, you weren't doing much parenting for her.
No, it was 2.5 years.
Okay. Now, what about your daughter's father? Does he pay child support?
Yes, he does.
How much does he pay in child support?
It's $115 a week, but half of that is arrears, what he's owed me from $24,000 past child support.
Have you gone into court to seek the court's assistance in having your daughter returned to your house?
No.
Have you gone to the police to have your daughter returned to the house?
Yes, I did.
And at what time did you go to the police?
When she first left home.
Did the police go to Miss Privet's house?
No, they did not.
So after the police told you whatever they told you, you dropped it and did not go into the local family court, which would have jurisdiction over your daughter, to have her returned to your house?
That's correct.
Okay. Are you employed?
No, I'm not.
Stand up. Tell me your name.
Danielle Felix.
What happened when you left home?
What happened? What do you mean?
Why won't you tell me why you left home?
Well, my mom had a drug problem, and I didn't really like her boyfriend. He was too demanding and trying to be more of a father-like to me, but I've only known him for 3 years, 3 months, sorry, before then. And my mom was too busy with her other stuff. Like
What other
drugs
stuff?
and Drugs.
Was she still using drugs when you left home?
That's a lie.
Shh. What kind of drugs was she using?
Pain pills. She's been on pain pills for a while now.
What kind of pain pills, do you know?
Oxycontin, like Percocets, Vicodins.
Is that the nature of her drug problem before she went into rehab?
Yes.
Same pain pills?
Yes.
How long has your mother been doing pain pills?
Since I was about 13.
Prior to that, did you have any problem with your mother?
No.
At Miss Privet's house, do you share a room with your boyfriend?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
Miss Privet, that's inappropriate.
Yes, ma'am, I know that.
That's inappropriate.
I know.
Why do you permit it?
At first, when she first moved in with us, she was sleeping on the couch, okay, and it was right next to my son's room. And when I went to sleep at night, I didn't know that they were together until one morning I woke up and I found them together. And, you know, I told them I had a problem with it, and they pretty much told me, well, Miss Allison Alley was buying their condoms and birth control pills, so I figured that it was, you know, okay, she was, I know it's wrong and it shouldn't happen, but I don't want to lie to you and tell you that they weren't
No, I
sleeping
know.
together.
I got it.
so.
I got it. I got it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I have a sense that her mother is still abusing painkillers. Quiet!
Didn't say anything.
Good.
And later today.
That is a lie.
Did I look at you?
No, ma'am, she's lying.
But you're going to have a turn, Mr. Walton, and your turn will come when I say it's your turn.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Susan Privet says the mother of her son's girlfriend, Allison Alley, owes for child support. Susan claims Allison's 16-year-old daughter is now living with her.
Now, Miss Privet, I don't know what you want to do formally to make whatever custody arrangements you want to make, but I believe that if you want that child support regularly paid to you as legal custodian of Danielle, then what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to go to court to do that.
Yes, ma'am.
Where is your father, Danielle?
My father's at home right now in Pompano.
Your father knows about your living condition?
Yes.
Do you visit with your father?
Once in a while.
Why?
He has his own girlfriend and too busy for me.
Are you going to school?
Yes.
Every day?
Mm-hmm.
Do you?
Just about, yeah.
Ma'am, she
not
missed-
just about.
she
Just
missed-
about. Just about is not every day. Yes.
Ma'am, okay. When Danielle first came to live with me, she was not going to school on a regular basis. Miss Ali was moving her around from place to place. When she first moved in with me, she was going to Silver Lakes. Then she came to live with me, and we registered her at my son's school, which was Lions Creek Middle School. But she's 15 years old, and she was in the 8th grade, so we went down and we signed her up at what we call North Area School of Choice, where they work at their own
I
pace.
signed her up.
Excuse me. Okay.
Just a
yes,
minute.
ma'am. She did take her down because she's a legal guardian, so she had
Right,
to take
so
her down.
she actually took her down and registered her at school.
Both schools.
Now, is that right? Did you register your daughter at both those schools?
Yes, ma'am. I do everything for her, for her schooling,
Miss Ali,
getting her to school.
please. Please.
I have her
When she
attendance
registered
record
her
here.
at school, whose address did she give?
She gave mine, ma'am, and I have a
Could
letter
I see
from
it,
the-
please?
It's just an envelope. I don't have the report card in there.
And this is your address?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Miss Privet, I want you to pay attention to me.
Okay.
Her father should not be paying child support to Miss Ali.
Correct.
The child support check should be coming to you if the court is going to give permission for her to stay with you. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, they may not, because they may not like the living arrangement.
Correct.
The truth of the matter is, what are you going to do with a 16-year-old? A 16-year-old doesn't want to stay someplace else. She can't stay with her mother. Mother's got her own bag of tricks. She can't stay with her father. Clearly, with the permission of both her parents, because they both know where she is, and her mother enrolled her in school giving your address.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, your lawsuit seeks $1,600 for money owed for child care. The truth of the matter is, you'd be entitled, in my judgment, to $4,600 because she's been with you for approximately 40 weeks.
Yes, ma'am.
At $115 a week, that's $4,600. Quiet!
Didn't say anything.
Good. Now, you're not suing for $4,600, you're suing for $1,600. That you're going to get. But what you have to do is, if you want a formalized order so that you don't have to keep coming back to court for this, I would strongly suggest that you go into family court. Yes?
Okay, well, I had spoken with her father, and he said that he wanted the child support switched over to me, but he doesn't have the money for an attorney to go to court, and he said, so...
He doesn't have to. You can go to court on your own, seeking guardianship of
Yes.
the child.
Okay.
I have a sense that her mother is not going to contest it, because if her mother contests it, what will happen is they will determine that her mother, based upon her daughter's testimony, is still abusing painkillers. She had a history of substance abuse. They will send her mother for regular drug testing and drug screening. Her mother will not want to go for regular drug screening. And in all probability, they will permit her to stay with you. That's if you make different arrangements as far as where these two children sleep.
She'll
He's
sleep with
20,
me.
she's 16. That cannot continue. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,600.
Thank you, ma'am.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She's a wonderful child. She's part of my family.
All she does is allow a roof where they can have sex.
If you love your children, you should do everything in your power to try and keep them.
Don't lay back and hope your daughter's going to come home. Take legal action right away.
If Danielle would like me to, yes, I will.
Yes.
Then yes, we're going to go ahead with legal custody of Danielle.
19-year-old escrow assistant Danielle Yankowski is suing her former landlord, contractor Rick Schaefer, for the return of her security deposit and sexual harassment. Rick is countersuing for 2 months' rent, property damage, and harassment.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please. Thanks. Your Honor, this is case number 226 on the calendar, the matter of Yankowski versus Schaefer. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Ms. Yankowski, you rented a room from the defendant. It was a short-term arrangement. You weren't happy, he wasn't happy. You claim he owes you money. That money is from your security deposit, which he didn't return. And you also want a whole bunch of punitive damages. Because how much was your security deposit?
$450.
$450, but you're suing him for $2,000 because you say he aggravated you. He says that you're a troublemaker, that you used up your security deposit because you made a big mess, and he's counterclaiming for $1,600 because he says you owe him for rent, punitive damages, you caused him to lose a tenant, and you aggravated him, so he wants a whole bunch of money from you. Don't people know how to, if things don't work out, just to go their separate ways and say goodbye?
If they did, we wouldn't be in business.
When did you rent the room, Miss Yankowski?
I moved in on June 8th.
You found them through an ad in the paper, through...
Through a rental service. You pay money, they give you a listing.
How much was the security deposit?
$450.
Is that right so far?
Yes, ma'am.
And what was the rent for the room?
The rent for the room was $450 plus utilities.
How long did you stay?
A month.
And you paid for the month that you were there?
Yes.
During that time, he gave you a 30-day notice to leave?
Yes.
Is that right, sir?
Yes.
Okay. Why did you keep her security deposit?
First of all, she caused some damages to my home.
Tell me.
After I gave her the 30 days notice, she was going around slamming cabinet doors that were just remodeled, and they bent.
The cabinet doors bent?
Yes.
What kind of substance did you remodel them with?
Wood.
And she bent the wood? Mr. Schaefer.
I can show you easier than I can tell you. Sure. And she also left water on the floor during her showers. Here's the cabinet door that she bent. And this is also, she was throwing away the silverware in the trash after I gave her notice.
Did you slam this door and cause this damage?
No, I didn't.
What makes you think she did that, sir?
I was in the room when she did it. I watched her do it.
Show me how she did that. Describe to me how she did that.
She was going under the sink. She took the door and slammed it.
Yeah.
That's what she did. And
No,
that's
that
what,
doesn't happen as a result of slamming a door. No. What else?
the damage to the floor and the wall in the bathroom.
Let's take a look at that. Danielle refused to wipe up water after her showers. I had to do it for her. Water damage on the floor and wall. Looks like you didn't take really good care of his property.
There was a towel on the floor in the bathroom that I used every time I took a shower. There was also another female living in the house, and every time
Another tenant?
Yes.
Was the other tenant also using this bathroom?
Yes, she was.
Didn't have a different bathroom?
No.
Okay. Now, what else are you suing for? And let's make the other stuff fast, because I have a low tolerance level for nonsense.
Well, the entire time I was there, he pretty much made my life a living hell.
That's a good reason to move.
Yeah, with sexual harassment and...
Like what?
Like, we were watching that movie, Monsters Ball with Halle Berry. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but in that movie, she's naked. And he made the comment, oh, well, that's what your body looks like naked. I was just like, okay, how would you know? And he's just like, well, I can kind of tell.
True.
We were sitting at dinner one night, and he mentioned how big my breasts were and what they looked like naked. I was on the phone with a guy one night. When I got off the phone, he's just like, oh, who is that? The only reason he'd be calling you is if he had sex with you. Use a different word. He told me that the only reason any guy would ever talk to me is if he had a sexual interest in me. One night I had a guy come over. He was coming over, he was going to pick me up, and we were going to go out. The next morning he asked me, oh, so did you guys have sex? And it's just like little comments like that.
Did it bother you?
Oh, yeah.
Did he really irritate you?
Oh, yeah. And then
So you were planning on moving?
Yes.
Because he was acting like a jerk?
Yes.
He didn't touch you?
No.
Did he? He just made sexual innuendos. Like a jerk?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you met jerks like that before?
Yes.
It's not the last one you're going to meet.
I know. I know.
If he said it, and I don't know, Mr. Schaefer, I don't know if he said it, but if he said it, it's a jerk. You were going to move. He gave you a 30-day notice before you gave him notice. Goodbye. You get your security deposit back. Go and be happy. Anything else you want?
Well, I mean...
Anything else you want?
No.
Perfect. Now, what do you want?
First of all, I want her to pay for the damages to the house.
She's not paying for the damages to the house, sir.
Okay.
You had more than one tenant, and there is no way that I can tell which one of the two girls who showered got water on the wall.
Okay.
Next.
She moved her brother into my home, into her bedroom, and I told her that she wasn't allowed to sublease.
So?
So she was having her brother live there, and he was going to my neighbors, telling them that I was and slandering me.
What difference does it make with regard to this lawsuit if her brother was saying something? What does that have to do with her?
Because she brought him into my home.
Did you ever hear the expression, I am not my brother's keeper? That's from a very old book. Very old. Next.
She went to my tenant and was telling her things.
Where's your tenant?
She moved out with her.
Were you there when she made remarks to your tenant about you?
Yes.
Oh, good. What did you hear her say about you?
That I was making sexual remarks to her, which I wasn't. The only sexual remark that was actually said was when she was walking down the hallway. One day I asked her what was going on, and she said she came out of her bedroom saying that she was masturbating feverishly.
Oh my God.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
I had no idea any of this was going on at all.
My mother was in tears. I was in tears.
I'm thinking my wife left me before I got married, but I don't know what's going on.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Danielle Yankowski says landlord Rick Schaefer owes for the return of her security deposit and for making inappropriate comments of a sexual nature.
Sir, I don't understand what you're suing her for.
Well, I lost a tenant because of her. She didn't know the tenant.
I have no idea whether you lost a tenant or not because of her. The tenant's not here. Even if it's true, the tenant wasn't happy, the tenant can leave. But you can't tell me the reason that the tenant moved because that's in somebody else's mind. I find that I cannot determine who caused the water splatter in the bathroom because you had more than one tenant using the bathroom. And her brother said things about you that were not nice. Is that right?
Yes.
So what do you want?
I didn't want her to bring anyone in the house in the first
So
place.
she did. So you evicted her, right?
Yes.
If you weren't unhappy with her, you wouldn't have given her a 30-day notice, right?
Right.
She was a good tenant and someone that you were satisfied with. Everything would have been cool, right?
Right.
So you did what you were supposed to do. Give her a 30-day notice and say, bye, return a security deposit, and you all go your separate ways. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $450. Your counterclaim is dismissed as nonsense. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She was threatening me.
He figured that he wouldn't be able to sleep with me and, decided that he would harass me.
Be aware of little girls.
Beware of creepy old men.
Court come to order.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2018, Gray versus Woods.
Thanks, Kevin.
You're welcome.
Everybody sober today? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes?
Yeah.
You?
Yes, I'm sober.
Yes?
Oh, yeah. Most definitely.
Everybody. Okay, good. You two gentlemen know each other. You went out for an evening. I assume there was some drinking, and your car got totaled.
Yes, ma'am.
It is your claim that the defendant was driving your car when it got totaled.
Yes.
The defendant says he was drinking a little bit, but he says that you don't remember because you were so blotto that you were driving. Right?
Yes.
So that's what the case is about. Simple. Two drunks, nobody knows who was driving the car when it got totaled. Let's see if we can decipher it. If we can't, I may not care. Because you're not supposed to be in a car when you're drunk. Otherwise, you can kill a lot of people, as we all know. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Want to drive drunk and kill yourself, that's one thing. Right? You take a lot of other people down, and sometimes you make it out. So you have to be understanding to the fact that the judicial system really doesn't give a rat's behind if the two of you were drunk and in a car, and neither one of you was together enough to know who was driving the car. Yeah. When did this incident happen?
It was November 27th, 2021.
How long have you known Mr. Woods, Mr. Gray?
I've known Mr. Woods about 20 years, I would say.
So you've known him since you were kids?
Yeah, since high school.
And you have gone out frequently?
Yes.
Does he come to your house?
Yes.
You go to his house?
Occasionally, yes.
Occasionally. And where were you going on the 27th of November?
We were going downtown Ann Arbor to attend some festivities from the Michigan versus Ohio State football game.
To a football event.
Yeah.
How did Mr. Woods get downtown?
Well, Your Honor, I got dropped off.
By whom?
My friend.
Friend's name?
Lauren.
And where did she drop you off?
She dropped me off in front of Starbucks downtown where they were waiting because they were drunk. I didn't drink.
Just a second. Lauren dropped you off at Starbucks. Where were you supposed to go from Starbucks?
We were supposed to go to a club and hang out after the game.
So you first went to the game?
No, they went downtown right after the game. 3 4 o'clock,
In the afternoon?
I believe so.
What time did Lauren drop you off?
It had to be about 5:30, 6 o'clock,
And when you say it had to be 5:30 or 6 o'clock, how do you know that?
because the game was over.
I don't know. I don't watch football, so I don't know when it starts and when it finished. Do you remember what time the game finished?
No, I don't remember exactly.
Okay, so let's say Lauren dropped you off at 5:30. How did you set the time for Mr. Woods to meet you so that he could join your party? The game is over different times. Did you text him? Did he call you?
So on the way, we had left from my barbershop, me and my witness here, Mo Chop.
So you weren't at the game, you were in a barbershop?
Yeah, we were at the barbershop at first. We watched the game.
Oh, you watched, so you didn't go to the game?
We didn't attend the actual game, no.
Okay.
We watched the game at the
How many people, you, Mohammed, and who else watched the game at the barbershop?
I mean, the barbershop was full of, we were still working at the time. We had left work after the game was over to go downtown to...
Were you watching the game or were you working?
I was doing both.
I would have hated to be your last haircut.
No, actually, it wasn't a lot of people there because that was the biggest game of Michigan's season, the last game, Ohio State. It's a big rivalry, so nobody was in our barbershop.
So
really.
it was just party. It was...
It was just party.
You know, I'm old,
Yeah.
so, you know, it was just party. You said, Mohammed?
It was a party. Yeah.
It was just party. Okay, so you left the barbershop, but how did you find out to meet them at the Starbucks?
We have been communicating through text.
So you knew what time they were leaving the barbershop, and then you got dropped off. Now, what were you doing with Lauren?
I was waiting to get to them.
Where were you before?
I was at home. I watched the game at home.
With Lauren?
No, with myself.
Well, how'd you get Lauren to take you to Starbucks?
Oh, I just asked her and gave her some gas money.
Okay, so now you're at Starbucks, you meet up, and who's driving?
I was driving.
Okay, and that would have been a mistake.
Excuse me?
That would have been a mistake. I wouldn't get behind the wheel of a car, sir, if I was at a party all afternoon watching a big football game.
Ma'am, I wasn't at...
The barbershop, Mohammed? Oh.
There was people participating. Some people weren't. Some people were. I wasn't. I wasn't participating.
All righty. Okay. So now you go from this party in the barbershop all afternoon from this very big game, and you pick him up, and where were you going?
At that point, we decided to go to a bar.
Where was the bar?
I'm not familiar with downtown Ann Arbor area, but like it was a bar that was suggested by...
Stand up next to him. He's not familiar with a whole lot of things. You suggested a particular bar, Mohammed?
Yeah,
How far is that from the Starbucks where he was dropped off?
about a couple blocks over.
Okay, and you were in the car?
I was in the car.
Were you sitting in the front or the back when you picked up Mr. Woods?
I was sitting in the passenger seat at this point.
So Mr. Woods got in the back?
Yes, he did.
And you were going a couple of blocks to the bar?
Yeah.
Step by step, what happened next?
So traffic is jam-packed down there, so we're really just inching to the bar. We get to the bar, we go inside, we have a couple drinks.
Okay, so now it maybe 6 o'clock?
Yeah.
6:30?
Yeah, dark outside.
And you have a couple of drinks at the bar?
A couple drinks, yeah.
What were you drinking?
I was drinking water.
That's not a drink that they like to serve at a bar.
I was a designated driver, so after we left the bar.
Okay, so you were the designated driver,
Yeah.
and Mr. Gray was drinking.
Yes.
What was he drinking?
I don't remember what his drink is.
You remember what you were drinking?
Yes, ma'am.
What?
I had one beer.
Okay. Even he can't keep a straight face. You know, it's hard. It just, don't speak. Now, you were the designated driver. When were you designated the designated driver?
Well,
think very careful. Before you answer my questions, you know. Okay. I'm already 2 steps ahead of this game. When were you... Yeah.
I've watched you on TV, yes, I know.
When were you designated the designated driver?
When we left the bar, I was the designated driver.
No. So it was when you left the bar?
Yes.
And who designated you the designated driver?
Well, I kind of designated myself. I'm pretty familiar with the Ann Arbor area. It's actually my idea to go downtown, so.
So you asked Mr. Gray if you could drive?
Yeah, I thought it would be the best idea.
And Mr. Gray said okay?
Yes, he did.
So you drove, and where were you going from the bar?
To another bar.
Better pickings at the other bar?
Just bar hopping, you know, college, downtown, football.
Okay, and what's the name of that bar? Okay, now he helped you with that, right?
Yeah, he jogged my memory a little bit.
He jogged your memory.
Yeah.
So if he knew the bar, why did you have to be the designated driver?
I don't think I understand your question.
It's very easy. You said you were the designated driver because you know that area.
Right. I'm saying I didn't remember what bar we went to. I'm very familiar with the area. I just didn't remember what bar we were going to that night.
Okay. What happened when you got to the second bar?
We had some more drinks and...
we had some more drinks?
Yes.
What was Mr. Gray drinking?
You know, I was talking to some other friends that I met up with there. He was off doing his own thing. I don't remember what he was drinking.
What were you drinking?
Water still at this point. Water. Yeah. I like to stay hydrated.
Daniel Gray claims his former friend, Tony Woods, drove drunk and crashed his car. Tony says Daniel was the one driving drunk and wrecked his own car.
Okay, so now you had a couple of drinks, you had another glass of water.
Yes.
Mr. Gray and Mr. Woods both were drinking alcohol, and what happened next?
We left there, we went to get something to eat.
Where did you go to eat?
We went to, what's the name of that place?
I don't know the name of the place, and he's not going to tell you.
It's a hot dog place. It's right around the corner from where we was drinking.
And then what happened there?
We got something to eat.
Okay, do you remember what time that was?
You know, I really don't.
Well, you've been already to two bars and a place to eat. So, and if you started out at 6 o'clock, it had to be closer to 9 or 10 o'clock.
Right, yeah.
Okay, then what happened?
Came out of the restaurant. And
you remember what you had at the restaurant?
I had some waffle fries.
And do you remember what Mr. Gray ate?
He had a hot dog.
And do you remember what Mr. Woods ate?
He also had a hot dog.
Good. So you came out of the restaurant. Do you remember who paid the bill?
I think we all paid separately.
Okay, so now you come out of the restaurant.
Yeah, we come out the restaurant, we had eaten already. And this when Mr. Woods over here started horseplaying a little bit, charged at me from across the street. You know, I tried to get him.
Well, just a second.
Okay.
How did he get across the street?
Well, the restaurant was across the street. We parked across the street from the restaurant.
Okay, I got it.
So I had already got back to the car.
Okay.
And Mr. Woods over here started horseplaying, and he ran across the street and tried tackling me, and he got me.
He's horseplaying with you.
Right.
But you get into the car. You said if you continued all during the night. What I want to know is, from the place where they got hot dogs and you got waffle fries, did you get back into the car?
We did get back into the car. We went one more place.
Okay. Now, when you got back into the car, after the 2 dogs and the fries, who was driving?
At that point, I think I was still driving.
Not think. I don't want to think.
I believe I was driving. I dropped myself off to my next destination because I separated from them two.
You went to one other place?
Yeah.
With them?
With the 3 of them, yes.
And when you got to the other place, you went in or you did not go in?
I went inside, yeah.
Okay. Did you stay there?
I did stay there.
And what about the 2 of them?
They went wherever they went. Back to the barbershop, I believe.
And you were the designated driver.
Up into the
So you were drinking the water?
Yes.
And they were both drinking alcohol? Yes.
Yes.
Yes. What do you mean, yeah? You go to at least 2 bars, maybe 3. You have a whole afternoon of drinking at a barbershop. Not you, you were drinking water.
Water, yeah. I don't know what.
Then you get dropped off. You was the designated driver. Now, they're nowhere near home. So you knew one of them was going to be driving.
Right.
And as far as your testimony is concerned, you were left in the last place that you visited. They went out to go someplace else or go back to the barbershop.
Right.
Did you see them again that evening? Is not an answer. I mean, we're coming to court today. You know, it's not a photo shoot. You came here for testimony.
I don't believe I seen them that night again.
No, I'm just talking about that night. That's what we're talking about, that night. This is the night of the accident, the 27th of November, 2021.
I didn't see them again.
You're in a club. You don't know what happened. Now, when they dropped you off, did you go outside with them or did you just stay in the club?
I stayed inside.
So you don't know anything else?
What happened after that?
Now you can sit.
Thank you.
Okay, now, your witness, the designated water drinking driver, has dropped himself off, and the 2 of you go outside. What happened?
After he gets dropped off, we are parked at a bar, and...
Just a second. He stays there. You get into the car, because you're going to another bar.
No, not at this point.
Barbershop.
Yes.
And then what happened?
Okay, so we get to the barbershop, and I leave the car running. He's in the car with me.
Just a sec. Got to the barbershop, and you left the car running for what reason?
Because it was cold outside. It was snow. It was It's November.
Well, what were you going to the barbershop for?
I went to the barbershop because I needed to use the restroom.
And the barbershop is close by to this last bar you were at?
Yes.
How close?
Maybe like 2 miles.
Okay, so you went to the barbershop. You left the car running and?
So I go in to use the restroom, and I leave the car running, and Mr. Woods was sitting in the car still. So as I'm in the restroom, he comes in and started knocking on the door and says that he had lost his phone when he had got out the car where we were parked at.
Where?
The last bar that we were at. I didn't actually go into the last bar. We was parked there. We were about to go in to meet up with him.
What do you mean to meet up with him? He was with you.
As he said, he met up with another friend.
He didn't tell me that. He said you just dropped him off at the other bar and you weren't going in, just he was going in. You dropped him off. That's what he said.
No, he went in.
I understand he went in.
All right, I never went in the last bar.
Okay, you didn't go and neither did he.
Yeah.
Well, I'm asking you. He said I lost my phone someplace.
No, where we were parked at, he got out the car for a second. I never got out the car. He got out the car for a second. And at
what was he
point
doing when he got out of the car for a second?
He thought we were about to go in, but I told him that I needed to use the restroom. So he got back in the car. But at some point when he got out the car, he dropped his phone. So I told him I needed to use the restroom, so I go to my shop to use the restroom. I park the car.
Got it.
I get out. I leave the car running. I go in, use the restroom. He comes in, knocks on the door, telling me that, hey, yo, I lost my phone. Can I drive the car? Let me go pick it up real quick. And I tell him no. Like, just wait, I'll be out in a second. So he leaves. I hear the door open and close. I'm thinking that he's just going to sit back in the car. So when I come out of the restroom, my car is gone. I call him, and he's not answering the phone. So I keep calling. And then the next, 10 minutes later, he answers the phone. So I knew he went to go get his phone.
He found his phone?
Yes, and I'm furious at this point because he just left me in my
At the barbershop?
Yeah. I just crashed your car. I'm sorry, bro. Mm-hmm. And I had to walk all the way to the accident scene, to the car where he crashed my car at.
Now, you have an accident report?
No, I don't have an accident report.
Why?
Because we never called the police.
That's
because
probably a good idea.
He wasn't involved with another car. He just hit a pole.
I understand that. That's still an accident report. The only reason you don't call the police is because both of you were drinking.
Well, I wasn't driving the car at that time.
When you were driving the car to the barbershop, right?
Yes.
From the last bar where you dropped Mohammed off, you were driving.
Yes, I was not drunk, though, Yana.
If you're not drinking, it's sort of an interesting thing. Everybody's definition of drunk is different. Your friend Mohammed said that he was the designated driver, so he was just drinking water. That's what he said.
That's what Mohammed.
Which suggests to me that we had a full day of drinking, starting at the barbershop, watching the game, from the game to 2 or 3 bars, then for a bite to eat.
No, I wasn't drinking at the barbershop. I didn't start drinking until we got to the first bar.
Okay, so now you started to drink at 6 o'clock. Now it's 10 o'clock, and you've been drinking from one place to another. I'm just saying you got behind the wheel of the car and you had been drinking. Now, did you hit a pole?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, now you tell me your version of the events.
Daniel Gray has accused his former friend, Tony Woods, of driving drunk and wrecking his car.
Okay, now you tell me your version of the events.
Okay, first off, I ain't eat no hot dog, so I never.
You didn't what?
I never had a hot dog. Never ate
Okay,
hot dog.
strike the hot dog.
No hot dog.
Whitney, he denies the hot
I
dog.
didn't eat a hot dog either.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Denies the hot dog.
Okay, so for what happened after they got in the car? First, they were very drunk.
Just a second. You don't have to tell me. All 3 of you were drunk.
I wasn't drunk yet.
Okay. By the time the car got trashed, you were drunk. Let me tell you what I believe.
Okay.
So that you can pick it up from there.
Okay.
I believe that Mohammed was dropped off at the last bar. So there came a time at the end of the evening when it was just the 2 of you. I don't know who was driving. I don't know who was the passenger. But I believe that they dropped him off because otherwise Mohammed, who appears here as a witness today, would have had a better story. Because he says, I don't know what happened afterwards, because I wasn't there. So there was a time at the end of the evening that just the 2 of you were in the car.
Okay.
That's what I believe.
My wallet, and we were wrestling in the street. He actually attacked me.
Let's move forward.
Okay.
There came a time when just the 2 of you were in the car.
Okay.
When was that?
Well, we were sitting in front of a bar that we were about to go to. I got out the car, and I dropped my phone. At that time, I asked him to take me back to get
No. You dropped your phone. And you didn't know you dropped your phone because if you knew you dropped your phone, you would have picked it up.
Right, correct.
Right. So then you got back into the car. Driver's seat or passenger seat?
I was in the passenger seat.
And Mr. Gray was driving?
Yes.
And Mr. Mohammed was at the bar?
Yes, he was with a friend.
He had gone to the bar, so it was the two of you. You're in the passenger seat, he's driving, and he's drunk.
Yes.
And you went back to the barbershop for him to use the restroom. Just follow, because there was a time when you wanted to go back to look for your dropped phone. Do you understand?
Correct.
Now, he goes back to the barbershop. How long was he in the restroom before you realized that you had dropped your phone?
About 5 minutes.
And you realized that you had dropped your phone because you tried to make a call while you were waiting for him.
Correct. And it was snow on the ground, correct.
It was snowing, and he didn't have a frankfurter.
Yes.
So now he's gone in to use the restroom. You go and look for your phone. You see how easy this is, like, it's like fishing in a fish tank. You went inside, and what did you do when you went inside when you realized that you had lost your phone?
I told him, let's go get my phone, and he drove us and went and got the phone.
Okay, so he came out of the restroom. You got back into the passenger seat of the car.
Correct.
And he got into the driver's seat of the car.
Correct.
And what happened?
Then we called Mohammed to try to meet back up with him after we got my phone. And then...
No. Slowly he turned. Step by step, inch by inch. Now you're in the car, on your way back to the bar where Mohammed is to look for your phone.
I got drunk. I think I blacked out after that point. We got the phone. I got the phone back.
Well, I know you got the phone, so you had to have driven back there successfully to get the phone.
Yes.
And is it at that point that you get back into the car and you blacked out?
No, it was just I got really drunk after getting my phone. Like, after that, I just...
You don't remember what happened?
I remember getting my phone and being drunk. Like, I got my phone.
Okie dokie, there we go. Okay, you were all drunk. As a matter of fact, I have zero sympathy for any of you getting behind the wheel of a car. Okay, the car was damaged.
Yes, I have.
And so what you want me to believe, that you blame him, and I could understand that because I don't know how drunk you actually were, whether or not you blame him for your wrecked car because you were driving the car back to find his phone, and it wouldn't have been in that problem had he not dropped his phone out of the car, or whether he was actually driving the car drunk. It's actually irrelevant to me. You were both driving drunk. You have a bill to fix the car?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it.
And I have pictures of the accident.
Okay, so, yeah. So the bill was $5,500. And you had insurance?
Yes.
And the insurance paid for how much?
I had no fault insurance.
So you didn't have...
I didn't have collision.
Okay. You didn't have collision, so you had to pay $5,500, which you paid.
Yeah.
Divide that by 2.
$27.50.
That's what I thought. So, Mr. Gray, there are some lessons that you learn, and I don't know whether other courts would agree. I have to make a determination as to credibility, and quite frankly, I can't determine between two drunks who's telling me the truth. Because on the 27th of November, both of you were in no condition to drive a car. And I can't tell who actually drove the car at the time that it was wrecked. But I do know that you drove the car from a club to your barbershop, and that neither one of you stayed at the scene, called the police, because both of you were inebriated and knew that either one or both of you were going to get busted for a DUI because you both drove the car that evening. What?
Ma'am, I was not drunk at the time that this happened. I did go to the bars, but I wasn't in the bars drinking. That I had one beer.
$27.50, we're done.
This court is adjourned.
I feel like he kind of got the story wrong because I wasn't drunk, but...
I think that was very fair. I feel like, the judge was very...
I wanted to make him look like my vehicle.
It was very snowy outside, and, something happened, and I don't remember.
I didn't do anything. I just called the tow truck and tried to get the situation solved.
And I'm very happy to get this case behind me.
Satisfied I got something out of the deal.
I don't know. Hopefully we could get back to being friends. He's a good guy.
I'm surprised you gave them anything. Unclean hands don't deserve money from this court, as we've seen time and again. So I'm surprised, really, that you gave him even half of what he was asking, because you couldn't tell which one of them was credible, if either of them were credible. And so what are you supposed to do? I mean, I guess splitting it down the middle was, I understand why you made your judgment, but I would have taught him a lesson, given him nothing.
Interesting.
Drunk driving is nothing to play around with.
Yeah.
Very serious.
Okay. I'm glad in the DNA it's getting tougher rather than softer.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah. You may be right. You may be right. I just felt that they were both at fault, and either you leave the parties where they are, or you say both of you have to hurt a little.
Yep. I understand.
But I actually understand your position. Respect it.
Thank you.
Want justice?
Have a seat, please.
Case number 2030, Gordon versus Jackson Smith.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Gordon, you're a wedding planner.
Yes.
You called her to plan a wedding that you were having in Las Vegas.
Yes.
It's your husband?
Yes.
The wedding was scheduled for what date?
April 30th of 22.
Your lawsuit against the defendants is for the balance of a fee that you say is due and owing to you. Ms. Jackson and Mr. Smith are counterclaiming for a whole bunch of things. They said that not only didn't they get everything that they paid for, that you selected the venue, and they were ejected from the venue because they weren't allowed to have a wedding there or serve liquor. So what was your fee that you quoted the defendants, and how much of that fee did they pay?
My fee for planning the wedding was $4,000.
And that $4,000, was that fee reduced to a contract?
Yes, it was.
I'd like to see it.
Okay.
Ms. Jackson, this your first wedding?
Yes.
And yours?
Yes.
Okay, your total fee was $4,000 and a deposit of $2,000. Did they give you a deposit?
Yes.
Okay, so they signed an agreement to pay you $4,000. How much did they pay you in total?
In total, for our planning fee, they paid...
No, in total, how much did they pay your company?
$2,000.
$2,000.
Correct. So how our company is set up is we're set up as an affordable payment plan for a wedding. So we set up our clients on a payment plan. So they also pay the expenses of all of their wedding through us.
So you have to send them an invoice for what it was that you spent for the vendors.
Correct.
Okay.
And then also the default of that contract states that if they miss payments, they have breached the contract.
That's why we're here. Each of you is accusing the other of breaching this agreement. You say that they didn't finish paying you what they owed you, and they say you didn't furnish the services to them that they signed up for the wedding. They gave you $2,000, and the wedding was supposed to be held where?
The banquet hall.
Did you send them a deposit?
No, because at that time she had not paid enough money.
Just a second. The answer is no. You had not sent them a deposit.
No.
Had they sent you the deposit of $2,000?
They sent me the deposit for our planning fee, yes.
I'm talking about for your planning fee, $2,000.
Yes.
And how much was the deposit for?
50% of $16,000, which was $8,000.
And where is the invoice for that you sent them?
I don't have that invoice because she was not able to secure the venue.
I read it. And from what I read in your complaint, the original venue that you secured, according to you, was rendered unavailable.
Money for a deposit. The second venue was the R&R Event Center. That venue she lost because a pipe broke in the venue.
Okay, just a second. R&R
Event Center.
And when was that taken?
That was booked on March 11th, 2022. And I do have the invoice for that.
And how much was it?
$2,250.
Okay, that's much better than $8,000. Okay. Did she put in a deposit?
Deposit was made from the monthly payments that she makes towards her wedding.
Show me invoices that you sent her every month.
Yes, I have that.
Well, I'd like to see them.
This is the statement of the account. It lists all the invoices that she was sent on a monthly basis.
So she paid you the $20,000 that was invoiced.
Her wedding cost a total of $23,600.
No, that's not what I said. Opening balance was zero. Invoice $20,451.57. Paid $19,356.57. That's what this says. Uncross your arms.
Correct. No, that's
so
correct.
She paid for everything. Now.
No, she didn't pay for everything because, as I just stated, her wedding cost a total of $23,651.
Let's go back to, because I see that we're not getting anywhere. Before her wedding, before anything happened, before she said, I do, and before he says, I take you, she paid practically $20,000, which was your original estimate and her budget for the wedding. There's a second. That's either a yes or a no. Before the wedding, your original budget that you were given by the defendant, I read the papers, was $20,000.
So, and
that's either a yes, I read the papers, or a no.
Yes, that's the budget she stated she would like to stay around. But however, in planning a wedding, you cannot give an exact of how it's going to cost.
I didn't say that. I didn't, Madam, pay careful attention to me. I've made 16 weddings. I've had 16 event planners. I know exactly how it works, and I know exactly that you can't always predict to the $100 or $50 or sometimes $500 how much more the wedding is going to cost. It never costs less. That's not what I said to you. I said by the time the wedding took place, she had paid the vast majority of the original amount that she said she wanted to spend for the wedding. And that is accurate. Correct. She said she wanted to spend exclusive of your fee.
Correct.
Now, of your fee, she gave you an initial deposit, or they did, of $2,000.
So
that's either a yes or a no. She gave you $2,000. Did she ever pay you the other $2,000 for the fee? And the rest of the expenses that you want are the additional expenses over and above the $20,000 that you, stop shaking your head, over and above what she originally said she wanted to spend.
Correct.
Now, I'm going to get to what happened just about a week before the wedding.
Okay.
You had booked a place. She had paid for the place, $2,250.
Yes.
And that was at R&R. According to you, something happened at R&R. Stop shaking your head. It's annoying. Something happened at R&R. What happened at R&R and when?
Correct. The wedding was scheduled to happen on April 30th.
Tell me what happened at R&R.
I was informed by Rico, the owner, sitting on that side, that a pipe had busted and the venue would no longer be available for usage on her wedding date.
And on what date was that?
It was around the week before her wedding, or 2 weeks before her wedding, sorry.
Date?
I don't have the exact date.
You own, manage, or what, this R&R?
I'm the owner of R&R Events Center.
Okay, tell me your last name, sir.
Cox, C-O-X.
Do you remember having a conversation with the plaintiff about the venue?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you remember when it was?
March 25th of 2022.
Can you tell me what you said to her and what she said to you?
We had a conversation. I'm like, hey, problem with my venue. I had a pipe that busted. I won't be able to host their wedding. Well, the reception, I should say. So I informed her I can put her in contact with other venues that I may know, or I could send her back the deposit. She asked for the deposit back. I sent the deposit back probably within the hour.
How much was the deposit? $2,250?
No, ma'am.
How much was it?
$1,125, which was half.
So 50%?
Yes, ma'am.
So you sent her back the deposit?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you receive the deposit, Miss Gordon?
Yes, I did.
The wedding wasn't until April 30th. So you had plenty of time. Well, not plenty of time. You had time to look for a new venue, or else they were going to have to change the date.
Correct, and they found
it. Shh. What venue, you can sit down, Mr. Cox, thank you very much. What venue did you select? And had you ever used them before?
No, I had not. I never worked with a challenge budget like this for a venue.
If you don't like the budget, don't take the gig.
Yeah, I won't.
And that's where the reception was held. But that venue was not allowed to have this kind of party.
I was not aware of that until the day of the wedding.
That's your problem.
The wedding had already ended, so they used the venue regardless.
Okay. Miss Gordon, it's your job as the event planner, which is what I don't understand you being here. It's your job as the event planner. They don't live in Las Vegas. That's your job to ensure that the place that you select is a venue that's capable of performing the duties that you outlined in your contract, which means they serve food, they're allowed to serve liquor, they're allowed to dance, they're allowed to host an event of how many people?
It was supposed to be 120, but all of my guests didn't get their invitation. So.
Okay, so over 100 people.
Your Honor, it wasn't that they were not allowed to have the wedding there. They were allowed to have the wedding there. What they were not allowed to do was the business was not allowed to operate after a certain time, and that is what the business owner produced to us.
Just a second. You want to show me a contract that she signed with that business owner? Ms. Gordon?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, I would like to see the contract that you signed with this business owner. Sarah, just for my own information, would you look up this venue, please? Tell me what you find.
Sure.
Ms. Gordon, this space was a little less money than the previous space that you had selected.
Correct.
$500, $700?
Yes, and that's because they were not providing all of the things that the original event place was providing.
Was this event space that you booked at the end of the evening, I don't want to use the word raided, closed by the police? That's either a yes. Did the police arrive at this venue?
Yes, they did.
Okay. And what time did the police arrive at the venue?
They arrived at 9:30.
Is there a police report that anyone has?
No.
And how many parties have you done where police arrived at the end of an evening or during the course of an evening in the 2 years that you've been in Las Vegas?
Never.
And the police arrived at this wedding not because anybody was creating a disturbance, there weren't shots fired.
Well, no, that is why.
Wedding planner Tara Gordon claims her former clients, Beatrice Jackson and Nicholas Smith, owe for the balance of their wedding. Beatrice and Nicholas are countersuing for breach of contract.
Okay, police arrived at this wedding not because anybody was creating a disturbance, there weren't shots fired.
Well, no, that is why. They initially had a report because
I don't know that
place prior, which is why we were even brought up on the radar, because the other businesses in the vicinity of where the business takes place had complained. There was a lot of altercation back and forth outside of the event because she refused to sign the agreed upon payment plan to continue payments after the wedding.
You understand that I'm not particularly sympathetic.
I'm not.
I'm letting you know I'm not particularly sympathetic for the following reason.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody plans a wedding and has a budget of $20,000 plus your fee. So that's, say, $25,000 that they either put together or are saving up for a wedding, first for each. A week before the wedding, something happens with the venue where the wedding could not be held at the venue of their choice. They're relying on an out-of-state wedding planner, that's you, to find a legitimate venue that is licensed to have an event. When they get to Las Vegas on the date of the wedding, you present them with a new contract.
No, that is not true.
Well, when did you
have it incorrect?
Just a second. When did you give them? Because you said that the problem, which caused the police to come. Just a second. I don't understand.
Before I selected the very last venue, she was on FaceTime with me, looking at the venue with me, because I informed her I've never worked with this venue. I don't know anything about the venue. I told her that the best thing for her is to postpone her wedding. She was already behind in payments. This is her third venue.
Just a second. She paid you almost the entire $20,000.
She paid it in March. In March.
Doesn't matter. She paid you almost the entire
30 days before her wedding. That's what you're not hearing.
I'm not looking at you. Before her wedding, she paid you almost the entire amount of the $20,000 that she originally gave you as a budget before the wedding.
If you look at the contract, it says that you're going to make monthly payments so that we can adequately plan your wedding. You booked me back in 2021, almost a year before your wedding. The wedding was to be planned over the course of that year. The initial venue that I have worked with, that I know is reputable, she ended up not paying the deposit on time, so they had to move forward with another date. After that, I didn't get any payments from her until March, when she got her tax return. And then at that time, I was forced with less than 60 days to try to find another venue, in which I did, which was our event space. And then a pipe busted in that event space. And then I was forced to find another venue for her. I told her back in January, the top of the year, you need to postpone your wedding. Before invitations went out, before of all of that, when she was having troubles with her payment plan, I advised her as a professional. I think
you're trying to talk over me. You're trying to talk over me?
No, I'm not.
Good. So you're the expert. She's out of town. The reason that she selects a wedding planner in Las Vegas is because you're supposed to know whether or not the venue that you recommend is able to take care of the party you book. You may say to her, I don't uncross. You may say to her, I don't know anything about the venue, but that's your job. You're supposed to know about the venue.
When I told her in the first place that she needed to postpone her wedding, that was my professional advice.
No, that's not what she hired you for, to tell you to postpone her wedding.
She hired you to plan her wedding, not to give her advice whether or not. You're trying to talk over me. That doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. You have to understand there are certain things that you did. Okay. You got out the invitations. That's a great thing. I assume you got a DJ. That's great. All of those things. The wedding itself, to me, was problematic. If my wedding ended with the police coming to the venue, and it turned out that the venue was one where you weren't allowed to have that kind of an event, I would be annoyed at the wedding.
They were allowed to have a wedding.
No, they weren't. The police officer.
The contract clearly states that.
I don't care what it states.
That's not what the police officer said.
And you know because you have a police
I don't
report,
care what
you
it
spoke to them? No,
I don't
you
care what it
reported
states. You started to tell me before that the reason the police came there is because there was an altercation about you giving her another contract on that date, and there were words outside, and people were complaining, other people who were in the air.
That's not what I said.
What did you say?
The night before her wedding, I explained to her.
I want to know what's happened on the date of the wedding. Just a second.
Can you let me finish so I can articulate?
I want you to go because I have a limited amount of time and I'm getting very old. I thought what you said to me, and you're going to read this back, is that the reason the police were drawn to the venue is because of the arguments outside.
Correct.
Let's read that
That's
back.
what I just said.
That was on the date of the wedding.
Correct.
You got married, and you're happy, and you had people at the wedding.
You got a free wedding.
And you
$20,000.
You're almost done. Do you understand? You're almost finished. Go ahead.
We were brought up on the radar because the other businesses in the vicinity where the event took place had complained. There was a lot of altercation back and forth outside of the event because she didn't agree to sign the payment plan.
Okay. So the reason that second contract.
No, that's not the contract we were having an altercation about. That's what I'm trying to
Oh, just a second. On the day of the wedding, Miss Gordon, did you present her with a new contract to sign? That's either a yes or a no.
Yes, I did, but not for the venue. That's
It's not for the venue. I didn't say it was for the venue.
Yes.
On the day of her wedding, did you present her with a new contract? The answer is yes.
Yes.
You said you had discussed that with her the night before?
Correct.
And uncross.
Oh, sorry.
And the night before, did she agree to sign?
Yes, she
Just a
did.
second. A new contract?
Yes, she did.
Okay. And the new contract provided for what?
The new contract that she was supposed to sign
provided for what?
Provided for the remainder balance of the $23,681 that her wedding actually cost. Because she had only paid $19,000. You have the sheet, so I don't have the exact number.
$19,356.57.
Correct. So since she had only paid that amount and the total expenses for her wedding were $23,681. So the night before she agreed to make a payment plan with me to extend her payments beyond her wedding date to pay off this remaining balance.
And is that what she agreed to on the phone? Is that what you're saying to me?
Correct.
She agreed with
She
you
agreed
on... Shh. She agreed on the phone to pay you the additional $3,500 or $4,000, and she agreed to pay it over time.
Correct.
And that was Friday night.
Correct.
And then she got to the wedding.
Correct.
And at what point did you present her with the new contract? At what point in the event?
Upon her arrival to the reception venue.
Now, what happened when you got to the reception venue? You'd already gotten through the ceremony, so you're already married. What time did you get to reception?
So the reception was supposed to start at 5. It was supposed to start at 5, but when we got there, she wasn't even done decorating. All of my family stayed outside for another hour, including my grandmother, my grandpa. We waited in cars. Okay.
Said it was supposed to start at 5.
At 5.
This venue that I have here someplace, you have it?
I think it was supposed to start at 5:30 and end at 10:30 per the contract.
Okay. Thank you. Was it supposed to start at 5:30?
Yes.
What happened at 5:30, Miss Gordon?
I presented her with the contract, and then she refused to sign it. Her guests were waiting outside because she was refusing to sign it. When she refused to sign it, because our agreement was she was going to sign the agreement before we started the reception. When she said that she did not want to start the reception, I responded and I said, we will pack all of this up and my staff and I will leave because now we're not being paid for our services.
What time did the police arrive? And my evening ended by the police having my guests leave. Furious.
Wedding planner Tara Gordon has accused her former clients, Beatrice Jackson and Nicholas Smith, of refusing to pay the remaining wedding balance. Beatrice and Nicholas claim Tara booked an illegal venue for their reception.
So, what time did the police arrive?
The police arrived at 9:30.
And did the police tell everyone to leave?
Yes, they did.
And told everyone that they had to leave?
They arrived and they told me that everyone had to leave.
Whether they told you or whether they told them.
Yes.
They said the place had to be clear.
Correct.
And that was an hour before the termination of the event.
So at the end, the event was...
The event was supposed to end at 10:30. Police arrived at 9:30. That's according to you. That's an hour short of the event time she was supposed to have at the venue.
So the event was supposed to end at 9:30. This is her timeline of events that was supposed to take place.
This is the contract.
That's the time that I have the venue too. I have to clean up. The agreed upon timeline is here. The wedding was supposed to end at 9:30, giving me an hour to clean up.
I'll take a look at what you have. I'm just telling you that this is the signed contract.
That's signed between me and the venue because they were giving me an extra hour to clean up.
That doesn't say that in here.
Because I booked it for a timeline. I booked it from 5:30 to 10:30. I outlined everything that takes place. It ended at the last song of the night was at 9:30. And she went through the last song. We made it through the last song of the night on time.
Could I take a look at that?
I just can't wait till it's my turn.
Well, the last song of the night was supposed to start at 9:30.
Yes, and it started earlier because we made it through and she was done dancing. And by the time the police came, it was just mingling and dancing going on. So she had made it through her entire wedding reception is what I'm trying to state.
Yes, Mr. Cox.
Please.
Hey, Your Honor, I'm back. That's not true. The police actually came at 9 o'clock and...
Were you there?
I was the DJ.
You were the DJ?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh.
That didn't get paid.
Don't.
Oh, he got
don't.
paid. He got paid.
Speak. So the police arrived at 9 o'clock.
That's correct.
And what happened when they arrived, Mr. Cox?
So
By the way, did you know them before the wedding?
No, ma'am.
Did you know services?
Yes, ma'am.
And how much were your services for the night?
My DJing services were $500.
Were you paid?
No, ma'am.
What happened when the police arrived?
The police came, asked everyone to leave.
Do you know anything about this venue space where the wedding took place?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me about it.
It's a storefront.
So are a lot of venues in Las Vegas.
Your case is dismissed. Do you understand? This is not a free-for-all. As far as I'm concerned, you got almost exactly what her budget called for. And I have one vendor that wasn't paid.
Because she didn't pay. It's clear.
Well, how do I know that you paid the other vendors? At least I know one vendor that you didn't pay. And she paid almost $20,000.
They got paid because... Okay.
I have two things. I have one vendor that's here that wasn't paid. You were paid almost $20,000. The balance, part of it, is for your fee. Part of it is for...
My fee was not...
Are you saying that part of this money that you're suing for, this $4,000, was not part of your fee?
The $4,000 that I'm suing for is part of my fee.
Of course, that's what I said. So part of that money was for your fee, and part of it was for vendors. I have one vendor here who says he wasn't paid.
Well, I have receipts from other vendors if you like to see.
No, I know you had a lot of vendors, but you didn't pay him. He's the only
I didn't pay him because she didn't pay me. It's clear. She didn't pay me enough money to pay her venue. I have here proof of how much every item in her wedding cost, which exceeded the $19,000 that she paid. Clearly, she owes more money. That's the facts of the matter. She owes more money to
She's
what her wedding cost.
She's countersuing you for ruining her wedding because you booked it at a venue that wasn't allowed to have a wedding. She's got a counterclaim for far more than your claim. Bottom line is, she picked a wedding planner, she picked a venue, she tacitly approved this change of venue. Both of you had to at the last minute, but you did that relying on the wedding planner to find a venue that was capable to hold the event, and it wasn't. It wasn't. That's your job. Your job is to find an appropriate place so that the police don't raid a wedding a half hour before it's over. That's not the way a wedding is supposed to end. So what I want you to tell me is you're suing her for $4,300. How much of that $4,300 is your fee?
$2,000.
And you didn't pay him?
No.
So that's 24 minus 500. You didn't pay him because you have to pay him.
I pay him.
Part of it was
paid.
to pay him.
I'm deducting it.
Okay.
I'm not paying you for your fee. Okay. You booked the wrong space for your fee. So far, I have $18.25. Other than the DJ, who else? Mr. Cox, could you stand up, please? You seem to want to tell me something, and since you didn't know either one of these parties, I'm going to let you tell me. Do you know any other vendor other than you who wasn't paid?
The bartender also was not paid.
Bartender.
That's correct.
Which is his wife.
That's correct.
I don't care whether it was his wife or not, it was the bartender.
Right, but what I'm saying was the bar was included.
How much were you supposed to pay the bartender?
The bar and the bartender came with him. He offered to do the bar and to DJ because his pipe busted. So what I'm saying is, he said, I'll bring my bar and I'll do a cash bar, meaning
that's because a bar you can't have for $500. So
right,
we'll do
a
cash bar.
Correct.
Did you do a cash bar?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Okay. So you made some money off the cash bar?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, of course. Got it. Now you can sit. So what you paid him was $500 for both.
And $150 for the bar.
$650 total.
That's what he charged them outside of the wedding.
This is a very easy case for me. You were paid almost $20,000.
I wasn't paid anything. I was paid $2,000.
And I would feel doubly furious if on the day of my wedding, as a new bride of an hour, the event planner said to me, you can't go in unless you sign this contract modifying our first contract.
The contract was not to modify.
Your case is dismissed. We're done.
Okay.
This court is adjourned.
So you counterclaim.
There are some things that I realized that, I could have done better.
Basically, 10 days before the wedding, add additional $4,000 on top of $20,000.
That never happened.
It was just her way of just trying to come up on more money, in my opinion.
At the end of the day, she had got her wedding.
I'm actually sometimes surprised at professionals like this woman, who is an event planner, has a reputation. She was almost fully compensated for this event. And the wedding was, if it were my wedding, I would say, it's ruined by having a police shut it down. We had a wedding a month ago. What would you think if the police showed?
You would not be happy if you paid any amount of money to a professional and had that happen. I really thought it was outrageous.
The whole thing was just tacky, waiting outside the venue when she got there from the ceremony, and before she could go in, she had to sign the contract. That's really not what you do as a professional.
Bad business.
Bad business.
Belongings.
Court come to order. All rise.
Be seated, please.
Hello, Judge. Good. Case number 248, Bolio versus Thompson's Turkey Valley.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
How old are you, Miss Bolio?
I'm 31.
You have 2 kids?
I have 3 children.
3. How old are they?
I have a 10-year-old daughter and 2 sons that are 4 and 5.
What kind of work do you do?
I stay at home with my children.
And how long have you been staying at home?
Since my first son was born.
So for 5 years?
Yep, my first son.
And what had you done before?
Housekeeping, and while I was pregnant with both my sons, I did do beet harvest.
There came a time, sometime, I think, was it last year, that you needed a place to stay.
Yes.
2021.
Yep.
Why?
September 29th of 2020, me and my boyfriend had broken up, so I had stayed in a shelter.
Is your boyfriend the father of either one of these 2 children?
All my children have the same father. Me and him had broken up at the time, and I left from where we were staying at the time. Our living was West Fargo, to the YWCA right away, the homeless shelter. And I was there for like 6 months. And during that time, I had met Carmela, and me and her became friends. And I had introduced her to my brother. And then I moved away for a little while in April, and I came back like the end of May.
Where did you move to?
I went to Texas.
What's in Texas?
A friend.
Where did you meet him?
Here in Fargo when I was 14 years old.
So what brought you to Texas?
That's where he was living, and he told me if I wanted to come live with him there, I could.
You didn't have a job in Texas?
He did.
You?
No, I did not.
And from when to when were you living in Texas?
I left April 15th, and I was there until like...
Of 2021?
Yeah. And then I moved back beginning of June, kind of. And then...
Beginning of June of the same year?
Yes.
So you stayed there for 3 months?
Yeah.
And you moved with your children?
Yep, all 3 of them.
Yep is not an answer.
Yes, all 3 of my children I moved.
Okay, so you took them out of school in April?
My daughter.
Took her out of school in April?
Yep, I did.
Yep is not an answer.
Yes. And we moved.
You took her out of school in April to go to Texas to live with a friend that lasted 2 months. The fact is you took your daughter out of school. I'm just trying to figure out who I'm dealing with.
Yes, because I had nowhere to live.
Well, there's a big place, but where do you live, in what state?
Minnesota.
In Minnesota?
Yeah.
Well, there's a big difference between...
Yes, I know this.
Yeah, you know this. You're aware of this.
Yes.
Okay. I set this up because I really want to find out what I'm dealing with here. Now, I sort of know. In any event, you had no place to go. Your brother contacted you. You contacted him, and he invited you to come and live with him.
Yes, he did.
All right. That's what he did. You and your 3 children.
Nope. Just me and my 2 boys.
So you were going to live with your brother and his girlfriend with your 2 children.
Yes.
You got there when?
October.
Of 2021.
Yes.
Case is relatively simple. Case involves your claim that they have property that belongs to you. And they have a cross complaint that they probably would not have brought but for the fact that you're suing them. Because I think that they're just happy that you're gone. You moved in with them in October of 2021 and paid no regular rent.
The agreement between me and my brother was to buy food for the house and to give him money when I can.
Okay, now you weren't working. Now you weren't working, so how are you going to buy food for the house?
I was on assistance through Minnesota, so I got SNAP.
So you got food stamps?
Yes, and then I had child support. Well, I was on child support, but I wasn't getting the money. I didn't start getting money until February of 2022. And that's when I start giving him
Just
money
a second.
every so often.
In October of 2021, you were not getting child support.
No.
You were getting food stamps,
Yes.
which you said you would share with your brother.
Yep.
Who lives, not yep is not an answer, who lives with his girlfriend and how many children?
We have no children.
No children at all.
We have dogs.
That's fine. So you were sharing some of your food stamps with your brother and his girlfriend.
All of my food stamps went to the house.
Well, that's where you were living.
Yep. Yes, it was.
Yes, that's where you were living with your 2 children.
Yes.
Okay. What kind of work do you do, sir?
I'm currently unemployed.
And what does your girlfriend do?
She works for a cleaning service.
Okay. Now, there came a time that you got a substantial amount of money from the government. What month and year was that?
Just this past April.
How much did you get from the government?
It was tax.
I want to know what you got money from the federal government for. That's what your brother says. And I was curious. That's why I asked you the questions about working.
It is.
So don't make it up.
It slipped my mind.
What?
I'm sorry.
That doesn't slip your mind.
I did housekeeping, laundry in a hotel when I moved back from Texas with my mother.
Month? You worked from June 2021 until, we'll find out.
Until like mid-June because I did not have a babysitter for my children.
So you worked for a couple of weeks?
Yes.
How much money did you get from the federal government in April of 2022?
Like $11,000 from the government for child tax credit.
So you got $11,000, not from working, not that it slipped your mind, because 2 weeks may slip your mind because that's what you worked, if you worked at all. $11,000, you got child care credits. How much did you get for each of your 3 children?
I only filed for 2 of my children.
How much did you get for the 2 boys?
I believe $3,000 for each of them.
That's $6,000. Where's the other 5?
That came to me for the stimulus checks because I did not receive the last stimulus check. They said that my boys did not receive the refund that was coming to them for the stimulus too. So that was all.
So your boys got. Let me understand. Let me understand why this country is in such a fiscal morass today. So you got $3,000 for child care credit for each of your children, and the other $5,000 came because you went to an accounting firm, and they said, well, you should have gotten stimulus money for your boys.
Yes.
And you missed that, so we're going to put in for it. So they sent you another 5, or they sent you...
They sent it all together on one.
Okay. All together on one. So that you had plenty of time to go and take care of.
Yes.
Right.
Your judge actually have proof of how much she did get.
Now, when you got this $11,000, that $11,000 was supposed to help get you through COVID.
Yes.
Paying your bills, paying for rent, buying clothes for your children. So you got this money in April of 2022. $11,000. You got the money, according to you.
I start looking for a vehicle.
You bought a car?
I started looking for a vehicle.
So you started to look for a car. Now, you've been without a car for a while, but you started looking for a car. Yep. And also in April, you asked your friend, your brother's girlfriend, if she would watch your 2 children.
Me and her had a discussion before April.
You didn't go until after you got the money.
Yes.
You knew you were getting the money before April because you were going to apply for it.
Yes.
Yes.
But when I got the thing where it said I was getting the money back, it didn't say that much.
$11,400. So you decided to go on vacation. Where did you go?
I went to Colorado.
Where in Colorado?
Up in the Denver area.
How did you get there?
I was with a friend and they drove.
Male or female friend?
Male.
So you went with a male friend to Colorado for how long?
I was there for a week.
What does this friend do for a living?
I'm not really sure.
You don't know whether this friend works or not?
I met him last year and I kept in contact with him throughout the whole year. And then we just got back in contact beginning of 2022.
And you don't know what he does for a living?
I'm not really sure what he was doing for work.
You have no right to give away any of her property, whether you think somebody deserves it more than she deserves it. That doesn't require an answer. I'm telling you what the rule is.
Alyssa Bolio claims her brother, Jordan Thompson, and his girlfriend, Carmela Turturelli, owe for the value of her personal belongings.
Okay, so you went away for a week, and according to what I read, you made arrangements with your friend, your brother's girlfriend, to take care of your 2 children, and you agreed to pay her $400 for the week.
Yes.
And then you went away for the week in April. Did you come back after a week?
Yes, I did.
On what date did you return?
The Saturday right before Easter.
Date?
April 19th, Your Honor.
Well, because my boys were not there
What
when
a
I got
little,
home.
what a little while.
I stayed at the house for maybe 2 hours and got all my stuff into the house, and my boys were not there. So I believe I went to my sister's house and to my mother's house, and I did not know where my boys were.
Just a second. If you...
Hi, xin chào các bạn. Chào mừng các bạn đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay chúng ta sẽ cùng tô màu mỗi ly trà sữa. Màu vàng từ tô chân trâu, màu nâu. Này tô sẽ tô cốc trà sữa màu xanh ngọc. hormone và ống hút. Vậy là chúng ta đã hoàn thành xong bức tranh một ly trà sữa. Và đây là thành quả ngày hôm nay. Hẹn gặp lại các bạn ở những video tiếp theo.